Oh, guys, don't put this in the edit here. Nah?
What?
Bleep the name.
No. We can start like from now. Because again, I just want to just chat about
now.
Yeah. No. Start now. When your marks get set ready. When your marks get set ready, fire. Go. Compliment the lectures lam what.
Ufuna yenzeni?
Ungiphinde camera.
It's too much tea.
Compliment. You want it official?
I don't make it lectures lentwane namasimo boy. King boy.
Ah, dog. No,
It's a card.
This is an import.
You just became big after that compliment.
No, Muchonale so. But so only material.
Abar. Yeah, this treasure.
That's the man's ego growing.
No. Ipali.
Real time, son.
In the iskumba in
Each is a rule boy.
Man.
Boy. Hey, there's no need.
Any excuse.
Italian.
Why did we do the gun show?
Italian cashmere.
Cashmere.
Can't talk.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
No, angithi some people only see it on TV. So
it rhymes.
Yeah, one. That only see it on TV. So maningibona guys. Ningibuza ukuthi nilizwe ukuthi into enjani.
Yabo. Uthi no shapa squat 120 dona vandag.
And ngicabanga lapho i-chest ihleli. I would hate me. I would hate. If I was watching me, I would be so angry at that guy. Envious. You know? No. I'd just be hating. I'd be like, I don't cheat. I would just find ways.
You know niggas who would say that, and niggas who don't have a superpower. You know when you've got one superpower, at least A1. Don't what about anything. So the issue is now a lot of niggas don't even have one superpower.
That's
I got next.
Yeah.
I got next.
Do you remember when I said that on the group?
It's sad,
with guys that were breaking down and talking too much about the sports elements. And I was like, when you overcommit to a sports team, if this team that's in England wins or lose, it ruins your whole week. It just tells me that you've got nothing going in your life.
Yeah.
And you've put your personal success on
someone else.
On someone else, and they didn't, because let's say your favorite sports team loses, and as they're losing whatever in the middle, SMS ya 30,000. Ithi yakhe yadliwa ngo2-0 but ingem 30,000. Mawuthi nopalesa ethi hey are you going to pull through, I'm here with the girls, ngifuna just shota ngawe. Now you're going to be sad ukuthi yakhe yadliwa ngo2-0. Uzofuna usukuma because you're like into zami ziyahlangana mos.
Life right.
Every nigga must have a superpower, Anton. Yes.
One thing.
Yeah, just one thing where you're like, I don't feel intimidated. So, mangumona umchita tough. You're like, Marantana, at least me, I can hold a camera, I can do something, whatever.
Yes,
then you
I
don't
can
feel
sing.
Exactly.
Nyajiva.
Yeah.
So when example groot uyabona ukapen, but makuvuleki isekele. Uvele nje ufika ushamavusha.
Yeah. Then when umkhalele.
Yabona.
Ke life.
Yes.
Balances.
Yeah. Khona machita ahamba ngama4 pipe imoto.
Yeah, it's like going to co-ed. Ufike ungashisi nothing.
What's this?
Like you failed. Uye ku co-ed ungashisa nge-trim at a co-ed.
Yeah, let me tell you, this is why I have a wish, and I want to talk about fatherhood because the three of us are dads.
Yeah.
I have a wish for my sons to go into a co-ed school.
Yeah. Co-ed school give male, female. Is that
Male,
right?
female.
Those are the best.
The challenges that I have with the boys' school, the traditional boys' schools, they've got a set of, let's say, 5 things. In order for you to be successful in that school, you have to be one of these things.
Yeah.
You have to be either first team rugby, first team cricket.
So sports is a big
Yes,
thing.
Okay, or you have to be like extremely smart.
Yeah.
Because if you're just smart in J,
you're a
nerd. But if you have to be it's so limited. It's like, whereas in a co-ed,
you guys went to co-ed schools?
Yeah.
Oh, all of us. Okay, cool.
Except for someone in this room that we will remain nameless.
That's why you're like this, Caesar.
You shall forever remain nameless.
That's why you're like this, dog. Yeah?
But think about it. Especially with the people that we look up to. Well, who we look... We don't think about them in the typical boys' school. Oh, I played rugby. Look at me. It's guys that just maneuver in a certain way. And from my experiences, especially when you go to university, they judge you on what school you went to. What school you go to? What school you go to? And you're like, they're not judging. So they essentially not judging me. They're judging Iskele, which I could be Trevor Noah. You know?
Yeah.
So
Controversial question.
what
What do you call where it's only girls and boys? What is it called? What's the term?
Co-ed.
No, I get co-ed is all of us.
Oh,
Yes,
co-ed.
girls.
No, then it's
The
a
other ones,
girls'
what are the-
school
or a
and a
boy- or
boys'
there's no
school,
specific term
There's
for
no, yeah.
Who produces more successful individuals?
So now let's
Is it
break it down.
co-ed or is it where
So,
only females?
so now let's break it down now. So now let's just look at the traditional schooling system.
Okay.
When we think of resource, we can agree that where the most resource is funneled,
Yeah.
the more success or the higher the probability of success.
Yeah.
Right? So if you look within Joburg, this traditionalist single-sex school tends to have middle to upper class. So when you're looking at CARES, JP, in terms of government schools, that's the top echelon of the government schools.
Sure.
We should see resource moves there. If we're looking at private schools, you're looking at your St. John's, your St. Stephen's, that's there. What's the general, in a South African context, of a co-ed school? Without resource. Yeah, so now when you say which one produces the most, now it becomes an unfair resource versus. So now the question that should rather be asked is, in a space of exact resource, let's go to private schools, who produces the most successful kids between a Kingswood, which is a co-ed private school, versus a St. Andrews, which is a single-sex private boys' school? That I think now we can start.
Yeah, you can start,
Because bonke
resources.
because ama resources siyafana. But when we just say
Government or
because now when you say it lends itself vele. Because if I'm trying to send my child to, let's say money is not an option, I'm trying to send my boy child to the best school, Hilton, Michael House, St. John's.
Sure.
Those are all single-sex schools. You understand? So manje, the richest people that are trying to send their kids to schools can only send them to a particular school. Look at the Afrikaans model.
Sure.
Excuse me. Afrikaans model, Joburg. You have Help Mekaar, private school, co-ed. You've got Monument, government school, co-ed. Noorties, another top school, co-ed. So in the Afrikaans model, it's very different. Because I'm a boon who believe in co-ed systems. There's very, very few Grape Bloom, Affis.
That's a few. I mean, EG is also up there, and it's.
But it's a co-ed.
It's a co-ed.
So crazy.
No, but I'm saying
so confused.
So now, but Lalel, when we're looking at a list of the top 20 Afrikaans schools, and we're looking at, let's say, things like matric results, sports, culture, and those are the metrics that we're using. In the top 20, 18 of 20 are all co-ed. You understand? Whereas when we're using the same metrics for English schools, 19 out of the 20 are single-sex schools. Here, I think it's a different model, you know, and I don't like it because man, when now you have your kids who finish matric from grade, my last one, ufunda the bridge, Takalan, and it's gonna be boys from when he's 4 as even 18.
I know you can't. I'm mixing man.
Because man, the way that he's gonna handle girls of his age is gonna be different. He's either gonna be very aggressive, or he's going to be very gentleman. So we don't know who's about. Tina, we grew up knowing what girls can beat you at maths. We knew what girls. There were girls in jail. Safunu grade 5 at the big shia. That were taller than you, that could smack you. When I was in grade 10, she was in matric. He's a simsaban.
Hey, man, I give a shant.
Shall I take it?
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah, but
Because there's those big girls.
It's not the first time I heard this story.
I'm shy in primary school. I'm shy, so I'm like, my grandmother said I mustn't hit girls. I'm shy.
But even if you tried to fight back, nothing would have changed.
I'll sure.
yeah.
And you could have primary.
It's interesting because
Can I close this door?
Yeah, you get it.
when the closest boys' schools were the Durban ones from us.
Where's us? Where's us?
Potchefstroom.
Okay.
Sure.
Sure.
Because of how they interacted I mean, when you're a teen, you start interacting with amantombazana.
Yeah.
Saswahleka amajita. Sithi, why nenza kanje? Why
like what their
approach
behavior?
yenu? Like even when you're talking to a girl, if you're Shela or
Just a conversation.
a conversation.
You got
Indlela,
better.
but
But he was.
No, for sure.
Because he was more experienced.
Yeah.
so but like you sit there and you see, Emmett, what's going on in your life?
Sure.
Why do you approach amantombazana kanje?
We want
What are you missing?
Bofuna approach kanjani?
No, so I'll make an example. For instance, Tina, that we went to co-ed, you don't necessarily need to be anything that everyone values. You just needed to have faith in yourself and in whatever you can do.
Sure. Ngiyakuthola.
The guys that came from boys' schools used to come, and we used to meet the rugby guys because in first team,
Love me.
and because in first team, what we've been taught at a boys' school is that uthatha intombazana, which I'm not saying is wrong, uthatha intombazana uyithengela ama-flowers uthintini. Bafika, they come, bazofuna lamantombazana akwi-co-ed.
In varsity now.
No, we're still in high school. Bafuna lamantombazana lena esihlala nawo thina eklasini. Hey umchita vela mangithi baddie.
Betty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bavele babone because the baddies will start wanting the boys that are outside of the school because
Yes.
baqedile la esikolweni.
Who the girls?
Eh.
I need ukuthi ngiqedile.
No, the girls who are baddies.
Oh, the baddies.
The
Okay.
baddies are done. They
Yes.
done with you guys.
Yeah, no, they've left
So
you
now
guys.
they need to venture off.
Thina awasekasi.
So figure boys school.
Sure.
Actually, they don't see girls. They've got no way of communicating namantombazana. I remember a guy specifically. Thenga ama-flowers, tintin.
Igama lakho thini?
Hey, angifuna ushigana. I think he left. He's overseas now. Oh, okay. Angifuna ukushigana. But this man is buying flowers, Shama movie dates.
With the baddie.
We know this girl.
This girl just wants 12 rand airtime.
Hey, 12 rand, nothing. She
When
needs
you have time.
nothing. Udinga ukuthi utrime nje ukhulume.
Then this
But
one is
they used to- But they used to come with this perspective. Uguti, but it trickles over later on into life because you find the guys that were losers in varsity, but compensate later on in life.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, because a lot of the guys that I know that are the biggest fuckboys went to boys' schools. And the ones that are the biggest losers went to boys' school. So like when you look at, again, with all resources the same, the general average boys' school guy and the general average co-ed guy, when they go into university, the way that they interact with females is very different on average. The top guys are overcompensating. The guys that are scared, they just take one. Tina, from a young age, we knew there's girls that are nice and girls that are hoes. And we saw it from a primary. We could see when I'm totally PS, now totally yes, no. When you saw uthola intombi yakho ka grade 4, next thing usujola with grade 6 manje first break at intombi yakho, second break intombi yomunye umchita. Sure. You learned that in grade 4 and then you saw it as it carried on high school.
Sure.
And they never got to see it. For them, break was when they played touch rugby on the field. You know, at break day, that's when they were focusing on. So for them, it was just sports and the culture and the badge, and I'll die for the badge, you know. Whereas Tina, it was all about the name at the back. How Mlotshwa, come on. So for them, it was different. So when they go into the school, when they go into varsity, your girls, they play tennis with some of these guys, eh? Yeah. They play tennis. I'm like, how do you not know which is a hoe, bro? And then you realize, experience.
It does.
It does, because you get broken.
If that went bad,
Hoes are there for one reason, dog. To break human beings.
human beings.
Yes. She's a hoe.
I mean,
Maybe she's a reformed hoe. Is she a reformed hoe?
I remember interacting with a hoe.
Yeah.
Oh, you interacted with the whole.
Yeah. But I had fun.
Did you just go to a boys' school your whole life?
No, I was in a co-ed.
Yeah, that's but you literally
But you
saying
knew
what you're
about,
saying.
you knew about women, though.
Yes.
My bad.
Because you grew up experiencing hoes.
Women, yeah.
You grew up experiencing amazing. You guys from co-ed schools knew how to find diamonds or know how to find diamonds. Why do I say this? The girl that was chubby in grade 5 that no one cared about, you saw her morph into something in grade 9, and you're like, hey.
Yakunamanye amachiri ntwana maseki high school ntwana ne.
But now
Kanjani?
imagine you're a boarder in grade 5 at a boys' school, and you continue being a boarder. When are you seeing a nomfundo who was chubby turn into?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think those schools are normal. Eh?
They're
To be
not
honest.
normal.
I've never experienced it.
It's
Mrs. You have a different opinion. Those schools are not normal. For how nature is created. Boys' schools, yeah.
I think it can be weird if you guys don't interact with girls. So
You don't, man.
no, we did because the girls' school was a 10-minute walk down the road.
Oh,
10 minutes is long if you're a loser,
Normally
bro.
I get that.
Because even if it's even if it's just separate classes, if you're a loser, because already in a co-ed space, there's already guys that are scared to talk to girls already.
What I'm saying is, when testosterone in the school, you all feel it. There will be those people who don't do girls,
Yeah,
They do.
but who losers like you,
yeah,
like you labeled.
yes.
Like me.
And then there's us
Who
where you
aren't
also-
too scared.
On a Wednesday, it's girls come on 20 past 1.
Yeah,
You change quickly. You're down there. You know they come out after you.
Yeah.
You're not in uniform. You're in your casual clothes. Hey,
at what age is that happening? If you just generalize, at what age is that happening?
11.
I come from a co-ed.
Not you specifically. I'm talking about guys that grew up in a system of just boys' schools.
No.
Is that because you're talking about testosterone?
Yeah.
So you might be talking about grade 10, 11, maybe even 12.
No, guys are doing this from like grade 8. As soon as you know that.
Yeah, but it's late
down the
there.
road.
I'm saying Uti, the guys that are doing it
Yeah.
are already a certain cut of guy. I'm saying Uti, when you're exposed in grade 9 and you're not even that type of guy, and you're sitting next to Uprudence and it's summer, and Uprudence is sitting here and we are kopela kwena. And then she does this with her skirt. And then her skirt goes here. And then you see the under of her tanga. Angithi ugcobe glycerin, ithanga boy. Ngaleso sikhathi
Holy ground, son.
ula ufuthe ihoyititoyti. Yazi ihoyititoyti lebo bethenga clicks leya 12 rand ngazi ayimalini. No, she's here. Penson, hawu ngiyacela ungisize. Ngizofela. Ula ithanga leli lingakalila. Now you have to deal with the fact that you are 15 and things obviously.
It's not the same experience for sure.
So that's why I'm saying, because of how the system is tailored, it's obviously just purely makes sense that you guys are so strong in sports, incredibly strong in sports, you know, because again, for the average guy, you as your person and you are strong and you know that there's girls and you don't mind, you have to almost motivate yourself to go there. Whereas even a loser who's sitting and just happens that uyenzile your homework that day, the baddie brings herself to the loser, sits here, puts the tie here, because she's trying to get a homework. She's trying to benefit, and he's learning this in grade 7. A baddie that if he was in any other space, he'd never have the courage or she'd never see the need to. But now, Bafunu grade 80, and she's here. How indaba, how awful.
Our life lessons get taught.
Lapho uyakahaka. Hey, kwakhona umunye usisi ngixoxa isitory. Funa grade 8. Sidebar.
What's my own?
It's my first day in high school. My first day in high school. Big bitch. And I'm going there, you know. So in my school, if you grade 8, you weren't allowed to wear like your blazer for like the first term or whatever. You have to earn it. You're in part of the school and you wear your blazer, whatever. You know, like those initiation type of things. And I'm walking and she just looks at me and she's like, Yabona wena. Wena wami wena. Everyone. Uthi ngizoyikhulisela wena. Ngizokufundisa yonke into ongayazi umuntu esifazana. Anything that you want to learn. She's like here and she's coming to me. And she's a big bitch, but she's wearing bro. I spent the whole first week in high school just hiding in my toilet. because we had our own little playground, and because it's for like the first
Samabasati.
for like the first 2 weeks, you have like your own little playground.
Manfaga, yeah.
Yes, because you're not allowed to like for the little area because they know what the predators. Because there's boys that are in grade 11, grade 12 that are looking for opales and grade 8. So they put us in a little area for a little bit. That week I was hiding because I could see her roaming that area, looking for me. OP. Yeah, but you see those lessons, I learned them at age 12, 13. You understand? So then after a while, as you grow into yourself, because they'll keep trying in different ways. They'll manipulate you in different ways, but you learn that early. Whereas I have peers that only experienced that at age 20.
Yeah.
Because they were never in that space.
Yeah, I know. Those schools are dangerous.
It starts becoming a problem. I mean, we had, and you learn rejection.
Fast. Quick in a heart.
Quick, fast in a heartbreak.
Go Floyd, or even the high school. There were girls that would specific at our school. If you played first team, would do a video thing on Monday.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, that practice, backdrop.
Yeah.
Leti kiti yako.
Yeah.
Inigwe, the next guy.
Oh my
so
gosh.
you were starting 7, now you are number whatever at 19
Yeah.
following day. That means when you're carrying your bag tomorrow for practice, everyone can see with
17.
17 manje udropiwe. There were girls that used to bathola now. First game, second game, third game, fourth game, backdrop. Akshiya. Mike Shia, uyojola nomjita ostatayo manje. Kuthi no, we can't.
Mina ngiyakubona lokho. I'm talking about relationships that happen in primary. Ujola ingane kwa grade 7. Ngiyajola grade 7. Then you go umjolo wenu, you take it to high school.
Done. By June, it's done.
Oh, June, by when?
March.
You think that, because you must understand the grade 10 boys are licking their lips.
Second term.
Boy, what in je? Baby man alala ngisala toilet. Wangena toilet. Moja mbuye toilet nangilapha. Bise usushare ama Doritos nalomfana.
Bahlekani lapho.
But or worse, we used to have like grade 11 matrics that used to call you. Uhamba nengane ne. Ntwana, wozala. So now there's the intimidation. So now you're scared. You leave usis mana ngiyabuya. Then you go to yebo Tebza indaba. Tebza ubalo hamba naye. Hayi sibongile. Yeah. Tshela sibonge ngiyamthanda. Hamutshela wena futhi sakho umtshela. Now you have to go. Sibongile uthi Tebza uyakuthanda. Hey fusek wena ntwana fusek. Sibongile uza. You're watching it, boy. You're watching it. It is trauma. It's very negative. But I'm trying to say, it's a reflection on life. Because when you get out there's certain deals. You do a big deal. You like, you guys shake hands. And you know how many times you sit in a deal? Okay, shop, I'm your supplier. Okay, you guys shake hands. Next thing, this guy sends you a mailer from the receptionist or whatever saying, look, there's been a delay in this. Because you believe that there's a delay. Sibongile is like, no, ngengikwazi ukubona ngebreak because ngisabusy. Kanti she's with those lessons you learn very, very early.
Sure.
For the average guy, you know.
with you, yeah.
So whenever I look at that system and I'm like, and the good and the bad, if we can look at all these things, you know, you look at the good and the bad and you're like, as much as as a rugby guy, I appreciate those rugby schools, but I understand that my child may not be that rugby guy.
Yeah.
You know, but I knew Guti at our school, even if you played first team rugby, there's a guy that does nothing. Or your girl, you the first team captain. Now you crying. Why? Because that was the shoe.
Lapho uyabhona.
Yeah,
KG, boy.
Ubona isicathulo. Yeah.
KG shines in a different
You
way.
guys have a better perspective of us. You guys have experienced this thing of boy, schools, girl, whatnot. Man, I only experienced one thing. Taking it out of girls.
yeah.
And you guys must complicate these things because I know you guys. Hey,
We'll try not to. We'll
you
try
guys
not
are
to.
complicating. I can already hear Caesar's answer. No, let's define this thing first. Caesar, which nigga is more masculine? co-head or the single?
But now we have to define.
Yeah, I was about to say to put it to put it in the
No, you
The
can't
problem-
say, because again, if you
Chance.
think about the average guy
I just said
that
don't
goes
complicate
to
the thing.
No, but the average guy that goes to a general co-ed school, Mchita Wasekas, that's just the average guy.
Yeah, who's
versus the average guy that goes to a single sex Mchita suburb.
Udlala irugby. Angakushaya.
It's a resource thing. You can't just take your child into JP. It's expensive.
But just so. Who can beat who up? Because you guys don't want to simplify this thing.
if we would have to narrow it, masibe kanje.
They go complicated.
No. Phela, we have
This also wants to complicate it.
we have to narrow it down because
You have to give a qualified answer.
because there's a guy that I know,
Yeah.
There's a guy that went to varsity went to Waifunde Glenwood,
Sure.
big rugby school.
Yeah.
Kodwa,
Yeah.
when we met him in varsity,
Yeah.
wayengathi igunda nula.
Because siyaphuza boy mina
And I knew
ukuthi wawudlala i-first team noma ufunda eGlenwood angiboni. Waqhwayela mina ngidonsa
So
ngempama.
if I had to put it,
Ukuthi manje wawufunda.
the thing is, Umchita ofunde a co-ed. If we are to, who's got the dog in him,
Yeah.
I'm shy Umchita la, simply because the rules are not the same. The guys that go to co-ed are usually exposed to izinto at a much nothing is
Earlier.
shouted.
Like things go extreme a bit.
Yeah,
Yes,
things go
yeah,
extreme.
yes,
We when we were in high school, we had altercations every time saspuma sasilo. We even fought with some taxi drivers at some point.
Yes,
There's no point a guy in boys' school is going to be fighting
in a privileged boys' school.
Hey,
Let's
it's
use the
going
word
to be
privilege.
fighting.
Thanks for the answer, yeah.
by keeping umbes. Ukipela umbes.
In a privileged space.
Eh,
Because
no.
there are a lot of average boys that go to, let's say, a JP who live in a very
Yes.
difficult space, or go to a KS live in difficult space. But your average St. John's boy
Yeah.
won't find themselves in an altercation with no takes. They won't. Whereas an average guy who goes to Ehlala Nati High will. He will.
And if Puta pay asile,
Ziyakhala.
that guy
Utringa fast.
When
So
your
that they
when
could
your question
outshine your body like
when
so
your
quickly.
question should be who are better
Ungamtsheli
rugby players between boys schools and co-ed.
Okay, boardroom though.
In the what?
We go now to adult years.
Yeah.
Who's better in the boardroom?
Obvious.
Obviously, it's going to be a boys' school because their whole system,
The whole system.
the whole
They are
system is
taught to
geared
pitch,
towards them.
nigga.
Think about it.
Yeah, nigga, they're taught to pitch.
But you're talking about a continuation of a boys' club because there's
Exactly.
many corporate spaces that are boys' club. Let's play golf on a Sunday, what, and it's a continuation, and they put themselves. What school did you go to? I went to boys' high. Okay, Ngenela, and then it's a continuation. So if it's that, then they'll definitely succeed. But then again, I go back to say the person who's watching this is sitting down and say, okay, name your 5 role models. Where did they grow up? What spaces, what schools did they go to? Your role models, not who you told to like.
Yeah.
Your role models. Then you start realizing, Guti, the school becomes less and less important. We understand, Guti, if you're taking your child to a St. John's in grade 8, there's a 100% chance that they'll make a university. Whereas Ehlala Nati, there's a 2% chance.
Sure.
If that as a parent is your criteria, then send them to that school. You know, but Guti, the child will definitely become the president of the country.
Yeah, no.
Based on what?
Yeah, no. That I hear you.
Ayakwazi-ke lokho, yabona. There's a higher chance that my child will be captain of the Springboks, going to a KS or JP, versus going to Newcastle High.
Yeah.
But Guti, in terms of going to KS or JP, he'll be the greatest comedian this country has had. We don't know that. No. We can't say those things.
You want to say something?
No, just like on his point.
Yeah, it's
the fighting thing. Ne?
Yeah.
I mean, Mina, I'm just gonna speak about my experience.
Yeah.
You come from the hood and there's a perception, I ain't got as well as you know, I can take. You get surprised.
You'll get surprised.
The EFF
You'll
they
get-
stormed the rugby
You'll
stadium, right?
get surprised.
When the EFF went onto the rugby
And
stadium,
you remember, I had the same debate with my brother when my brother said, I'm a cheese boy, I'm soft. And I was like, there's certain things that you can't determine when you see another man. And that's like dick size. You can't see a man from a kasi or a privilege and then assume dick size. Whether he's tall, whether he's short, whether he's big, or whether he's small. It's the same thing with fighting because it's a dog within.
Hey,
Boy.
yeah.
So when I talk about ushanga chest to Jimmy, but I understand dick size in Jan. So ututut, ekshang empama A1 your whole side here. Ube sengathi une paraplegic. Enomjida nje mncane ekudonse nje
Because
ngempama.
Because
Yeah,
no, for sure.
So mina I've really in my life said no. Oh, that guy goes to St. John's, he must be soft. Ubhalwe kuphi?
Okay, so that we don't have a clear thing.
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's just my own
Who
personal
can share
opinion.
better? That we're clear.
That
Co-ed
we
schools.
clear.
Okay.
Yeah, that we because of experience.
Co-ed.
Yeah, but it's
Co-ed.
yes, it's like the same. Who's the better sports person in general? The guy who was exposed to more sports.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we speak about
Yep,
that, but the school thing is sensitive, man.
Yeah,
The school
no, for
because
sure.
we've been sold a lie.
Yeah.
And I think just to isolate the three of us as parents, we're constantly thinking about where our kids would shine.
Yeah.
So now we have to constantly think about what does shining look like? What does success look like?
Amen.
And then try and put them in a path to get to that.
Look, I'm feeling you as the timer, you know.
Yeah.
But part of my just studying life principles, thinking, and how the world works. If I can just what I need from the kid right now, just for them to understand the most basic things, maths, the plus, and not even like complicated math. You know, kind of there's lower grade maths and there's this upper one, pure maths and something else.
No, now it's maths,
maths.
lit, and there's core.
The just have the basics,
But
of
there's
maths,
still AP maths as well,
be
yeah.
able to communicate.
Thina sesifundo standard grade, no higher grade. Hey.
What I've realized about I've realized about all the schooling systems, at times it boils down to the kid.
Not at times. Not at times.
Kapai.
It always boils down to the
I've
child.
seen kids who went to schools, and I know them very well, went to these very expensive schools. Hey, it's dumb towards it. They're just normal kids, man.
Yeah.
Just parents had money and they took them to these
Sure.
schools, you know. So I think if you can give your kid a template of how to survive, irrelevant of the school, whether they went to whatever school, teach them how to survive.
But I'm saying, Uti, you said, I think for me,
Yeah.
it boils down to the child.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about Mina Nolungelo. Itama took us to every single soccer game ever.
Yeah.
And he had soccer clubs and he wanted us to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys went opposite.
Opposite.
You guys went extreme.
You see?
They taught you a black thing. You're like, we are shining.
So, and then it's certain things where you like weren't exposed, like playing the trombone. Where did you see that? You know, so it boils down to the child. So, you know, we're trying to do in this world risk management.
Yeah.
You know, you're trying to live in an area where it's as less crime as possible. That doesn't guarantee that you won't get hijacked.
No, for sure. Yeah.
You understand?
But also the thing of schooling, we want to take our kids to the best version of whatever school is, all because we can give them the things that we think they want to need in adulthood. We can't.
No, I don't think that's the thinking.
No, I think it is. I think we're outsourcing something that we can give our kids.
I agree, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's the thinking for the average parent.
Okay.
I think the average parent is like, what's the best school based on whatever the metric that has been put out there.
Sure.
And then, because as far as my matric results, I say Kes versus Northcliffe High. As far as we can guess maybe Mafundi Pep, but we assume that sending your child to St. Stadions is better off than sending my child to Bryanston High. It's an assumption. Yeah, but based on how they sell, because this is a PR machine.
But also in that, what I'm saying is, what I'm putting the point to Guti, it's because you can't do certain things. I mean, from an employment perspective.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So you're making sure that they go to that school because the assumption is at least uzothola span.
Yes.
It's a good school. And
Yes.
and good schools result in kids having work. I mean, if you look at graduates, there's more employed graduates than unemployed graduates.
Yeah.
Those are highly unemployed.
Yeah.
But people who've got more who have degrees, there's a higher chance of going to totally span. So you taking them to the best thing results in a better high school, better varsity. Better varsity means span.
Sure.
I think that in our context,
Sure.
it changes slightly. So how I also got a little one now. But I think my biggest stresses is that you know that you are the better black
Already.
already. You as an individual, you know you are not the
You're
the
top.
average.
You're top 5%.
You saying you as the time at
Yes.
when
Is that what you're saying?
when as Pigo, just
Yes.
Pigo
Me as
Pigo
an individual.
is the top 5% black.
Yes. So my stresses then change because I then look at my daughter and I say, I need her to thrive in her way, which then becomes a bigger stress because
sure.
the amount that you're paying or what is perceived doesn't matter anymore because my biggest stress is picking up where she will thrive as earliest as possible because she might thrive at we in 2024 she might thrive at a Northcliffe High School or Bryanston because of her personality, or she might thrive
At a pressure. Or
at a
routine.
pressure, depending on the personality. But I need to identify these things early. Or she might thrive at a tech school because you've got the opportunity to, your stress becomes stressed out because you need to sort of identify those things really, really early so that you can push it in that direction. So it then changes from sending them to the best school because the best school sometimes kuzobhala ukuthi, I mean, I think in Johannesburg, what is Rodin? Rodin is the best girls' school. I don't know what they by counter
Abantu base St Mary's bayakubuka nje bokhuluma.
yazi nginyasho
Abantu base Kingsmead bayakubuka.
but
Girls from a pressure are looking at you.
Yes.
They saying, why are you saying what you're saying?
so
That's what they're asking. Surely.
Rodin
With that attitude.
with the attitude, but like then you need to like the hope is to identify your child's characteristics and what they are early so that you can find the best school for them and not necessarily the best school.
Here's the mistake that we do when we have these discussions. And I've said to many people, in South Africa, we have a system where the peak is matric. So where you went to school, the number of A's, a lot of people peak in matric and then they fizzle out in life. So give me my whole approach. Yes, please. My whole approach was they will become who they will need to become when they need to become it.
Yes.
So whether I send my child to a Hilton, he'll become a rapper.
Yeah.
Yabon. Or whether I send my child to a school that he drops out in grade 4. Yabon. Or if the child drops out in grade 4, yabon, the child drops out. The child drops out in grade 4, becomes a Jacob Zuma.
Yeah.
You know, so you start realizing, Guti, we put so much emphasis on this whole how will they leave school matric. Then you end up having a Lungelo who gets all the A's and becomes and studies accounting and then you know.
Economics though.
Oh,
Nigga,
awufunda ama-honors but akusiza ngani?
Uyi.
Uyini?
Bana poverty ro
Because yena nalo mjide lo oshawo Casper. Ubani mjide oshawo Casper. Bani mjide lo oshawo Casper they to Switzerland. Lo oshawo Casper.
Sleep.
Uslick talk. Ulungelo no slick talk in day one. Yabona. So uslick talk ufunde asazi. Asazi. So then it becomes that you actually become who you need to become when you need to become it.
Yeah.
You know what?
So we need to move away because as parents, our emphasis becomes school, high school, as if your child's life starts and ends at age 20.
You know, for me, man, it's different, man. Because I run a business. I mean, I really don't care about what school they go to.
Yeah.
My dream is for them to really just run the business. But you know, one thing you realize is you realize about life.
Sure.
That's just a fairy tale in Tana. The kid will become whatever they want.
Yeah.
Like it's really a fairy tale in Tana. You are so or slowly over time, learning to let go of these things. Because then I become disappointed. I'm like,
And you will become
I was running
disappointed.
this thing for you when,
You-
and then
you-
manje,
you-
awu,
you will.
umsuzu.
And also bamsuzo. My friend bamsuzo.
Ungakhuluma mas-
No, Wait, I want to ask a deeper question to you guys, because you guys are fathers of daughters. You asked Upiko about masculinity. Now that you guys are fathers of daughters, because your daughters are young, has your view on your personal views on masculinity, if you'd like to unpack what it was, and then how you guys see it now,
That has changed.
having daughters?
Yeah.
I think generally, whether it was a boy or girl, I think just fatherhood itself changes everything. I was actually talking to someone, I was talking to my cousin on the weekend, which generally doesn't happen for a lot of people. The day my daughter came, they come and then they get folded and whatever. Following day, baby needs to wash.
Or went back to your traditional home, or Ekailu?
No, we're still in the hospital.
Oh, okay.
And we are now in the hospital. Kutwa, hey, someone needs to come watch the baby. My partner, of course, cesarean can't.
Yeah.
So from that day onwards, everything changes because you grow up in a home where males are made to seem like you're a dad, you behave like this, you don't do certain things. I had to go learn how to wash the baby. The next couple of days, I had to figure out that whole system, changing, washing, and doing all of those things. So it completely just, it sort of flips your world around because everything that you perceived of...
Did you grow up with a father in the home?
No.
So where was your view on manhood or fatherhood? What shaped that?
So what I think from my side, what shaped that is, of course, my uncle Malum, my mother's brothers, and you'd see Gucci like then you in the rural Eastern Cape, they grew up, went to bayofunda babuya basebenza khona, so that it's a lot of rural ways of thinking of how to father and how to be a man in the household. So you sort of pick up those things from there and you see how they move around, and then you assume Gucci,
that's what fatherhood looks like.
that's what fatherhood looks like. They weren't shit guys, but like you could see Gucci, there's things that they're not doing endlini kukhona nje yabona, women roles for like male roles. So it sort of flipped my world around, as much as I had told myself already ukuthi ngifuna ukwenza yonke into, because you've seen what you've seen and you've seen it not work at times, so you want to do the best that you can. So I think immediately it just changes, and you view being a man and masculinity in a very different way.
How did you view it before? The roles that you viewed it in terms of masculinity being gender roles, there's things that women do and men do.
Yeah, I think for the longest time in my life, I viewed it like that. As much as, so my home context is a little bit different because in Kulise by my grandmother and my mother, and in my grandmother's household, we as boys, my brother and I, had to do everything.
Yeah.
Ungena kwi-roof, uyalungisa,
Gezitsha,
gezitsha,
uyagundutshani.
but whenever I used to go home to my mother's house, because we've got a sister, I used to sit like a king.
Oh wow, okay.
You see, so it like you're learning something that's proactive and productive. But when I used to go to my mother's home, my bed gets made.
Oh wow.
Because that's my mother has grown up with brothers, ukhuliswe by the dad and father, so that's how they learned.
Yeah.
You wake up, your bed gets made. Part of it is that my mother's particular, but part of it is also because we've got a sister. Bed yenziwa, breakfast comes, we eat, we put the dishes, split deal.
So
Lunch
now
comes.
your view now is no longer gender roles.
No.
It's more whoever's available type of
Yeah,
thing.
definitely.
Sure. When at Debza, is it similar? But when you grew up with your dad is amazing. Nah, he is, eh? Yo, bro. You feel like your dad is like legit, bro. So like when you see his dad and you see the interactions, like Tina's cool, yeah, when a single mother, we're like, wow. Obviously, you had your challenges that we would understand.
Sure. Yeah, and I think I'm in between now. I still believe in gender roles. I can't cook. I'm forced to peg.
Can you learn?
No, I have.
Why don't you want to learn how to cook?
You can't learn.
Gents,
That's so sexist. That's so
All
sexist.
right.
That's so
All
sexist.
right.
Jesus.
Wait, Caesar. You're not a safe space anymore.
What a misogynist.
I think you want to say you can't cook the things that you want to eat.
So I think there are certain things that I'm interested in learning from a feminine perspective. Like anything that deals with my kid, angnandaba.
You do.
Feminine yin angnandaba.
Yes.
Every single thing. You can name it, anything. Whether it's bottles, pampers, whatever it is that deals in I don't care. Gender roles, no.
Sure.
But there is with relationship, there's a thing of who is the primary caregiver. That is very clear. When you're the primary caregiver, meaning secondary. Marama sekunyiwa, akuna ukuthi primary or secondary. But in our general day-to-day existence of every single day, there's a primary caregiver. She does all of that. Magunyiwa, it's whatever.
I wonder if the reason why you guys are moving like this is it because you have a daughter or is it because you have one child?
I think it's probably a one child.
Because I look at myself, I look at my brother. When we had one, we also like, no, there's no gender roles here. I do everything. So I was and I was changing nappies. And then the second one came, you're like, do I really need to do this? Yeah. And by the third one, you're like, whoa, nope. I ain't doing nothing.
Maramagniwa, you'll step up though. Irrelevant. Unless you're saying something is baby mama, whatever is happening, would you let the kid cry?
I think
I just want to know his extreme.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. Sure. Okay. So my example is, let's take potty training. But the first one is extremely involved with potty training. The third one, I can't remember wiping his bum.
Sure.
Even when the mother was there. Or not there, sorry. Because now you've got a system.
Yeah.
You know, why am I wiping bums? Go corner when.
Sure.
So I don't know if, again, the other two. So I'm trying to say, Guti, all the variables, as the variables change, you change.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I'm trying to say. Guti. I don't know if it's having boy kids or girl kids, or having multiple kids or not having multiple kids, or the mere fact that you guys stay with the mothers of the kids versus being in a situation where you don't stay with the mother of the kids. So when you have, if you are let's call it a single dad, you know, meaning in the sense that you split up with the mom, but it's your time to be with your child. Or it's your time to be with your kids. How's the dynamics in that, and how are you portraying masculinity in that space? Because now you're the dad, but you also need to be the mom, and because you're the only parent. Yeah, but you spoke about primary and secondary. Yeah. But if you are,
we want. We
yeah, you understand. Yeah. So now it becomes that, and then that whole definition of what masculinity looks like changes.
Sure.
So now it speaks to now should you teach your children what that looks like? Because the reason why I'm asking, sorry to cut you off, is let's just say our daughters become heterosexual. You want them to be able to identify a certain trait in a male partner that they choose to settle down with. Now, are you raising them in the way, if you are gonke, both male and female, are you raising them in the way that they seek for that in their partners? Or are they seeking for the traditionalist masculine role?
I think we need to move away from that traditionalist shit, man. With the daughters as they grow up.
Yeah.
I don't think kids, let's say they get 21, 2024. They get married, 44, 50. maybe nice because I'm traumatized because of the industry I'm in and the type of shows I do.
Okay.
Maybe let me put that as a disclaimer.
Sure.
Before I put
Time
my...
to explain.
No. I need to give you context so that you understand what
That's
it
relevant. Though.
No, serious.
Yeah, no, of course.
No. We shoot some hectic stuff.
No, I agree.
So what the shows have made me realize is that the person you hope your daughter's gonna meet is definitely not gonna meet.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm at a point where I'm like, I'd rather have umchita complaining ukuthi ingosi yakho is almost aggressive. I don't know what is the balance between me and her than Abe too feminine. And I'm saying it's because of this thing that I've been in for the past 10 years of shooting these shows. I'm like, hey, a woman stays in a relationship for 30 years in Jayam. Comes on our show, year number 31. She's like, I'm leaving. I'm like, how? For 30 years. And you realize she's not independent. She doesn't know much. She go to whatever the guy does. She's like, it's who he is in Zotin. So I'm traumatized by that thing. I would rather my daughter almost be an extreme and have a guy complain. Because I'm like, finding the middle ground here becomes tough because I don't know who she's going to fall in love with.
Is your partner, sorry to get into personal, sure. Is she like you in terms of balancing between the masculine? I need when you were saying in terms of roles, you can, or is she just more tends to the femininity?
She's more the feminine side.
So
he knows.
Who
is
unlike the man?
Because again.
Because here's the thing.
No, I hear you, but here's the thing, and we spoke about this, and we speak to so many feminists, and we speak to so many feminists in the sense of equality, not feminists in the sense of how, but they might define in the sense of women who are able to have masculine traits and feminine traits, whatever. Excuse me.
Sure.
Yet at the same time are still expecting a partner who earns more than them, can provide and protect in a traditional sense. So you're raising a person who is absolutely balanced, but yearns for a man who's 6 feet tall, built like this, earns this trap. It's almost like we are clash at their natural order, especially because my bugendlin. Ngithi bugendlin. Ubuka time alisebenza on a Friday kuze kushawo 8 9 10 ebusuku to provide. Meanwhile old lady lihleli libuka TV libhizi lashintsha lapha DS. So her view versus what you're trying to teach may not always align.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think you're right because now fit yaspana fit whatever, and you're right. I really need to look at it, and figure out actually what is the plan.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, females just fall in love with rubbish, man. I don't know what is it about it, man. Barata nonsense, man. In fact, so I'm scared the type of person she's going to meet.
Because she might not want to be with her father. Because she might have a resentment. Because there's two ways.
Sure.
She might be attracted to the fact that you are always a great provider for the family. Or she might look at it like he was never there. You don't know their challenges.
I'm reconciling with not being there, and I've spoken to Homos about it.
But I'm saying, for example, my father was always taking us to soccer things.
Sure.
We resented that. You understand? So whereas a different child
would have loved it,
might have loved that, and then I became Bafana star because the time I'm lying is a game.
You see, this thing goes back to what you were saying earlier.
We don't know.
I think the best thing we can do, you as a parent, is to say, what do I think is the best thing to do? I know that it's influenced by society, how you are raised, blah, blah, blah. But if you can sleep at night and say, I tried. She may have betrayed me. Not betrayed. She went the other route.
Yeah, you say, my daughter betrayed me. My daughter betrayed me by being with by being soft and wearing pink. My daughter betrayed me by wearing pink. I raised her wearing neutral colors.
If you didn't sleep at night and say, I tried. Because there's the same thing that we always speak about. There is an alcoholic. One child says, I'll never drink alcohol. The other becomes an alcoholic. What happens?
Because no one at my house drinks besides me. And I'm So
if you can sleep at night and your answer is, I really tried. Because kids will disappoint you, man. If you can sleep at night and say, I tried.
So someone sent me a reel on Instagram and it was about being a present dad and showing up.
Even that thing, people have got warped ideas of that thing.
So they show these kids that are performing concerts at their schools. And the kids are looking around looking for their parents.
Yeah.
Ne? They're looking around looking for their parents all the time. They're looking around looking for their parents. And when their eyes lock with their parents, they get excited and they wave. They get it. Yeah, and they're like, oh, Penson, your kids must be. I'm like, let me tell you something about my kids. Because again, as born work fan. Because I'm always there, my kids. When he's got like a violin or whatever, it's like, hey, time, yeah. I'm like, bro, I can see some of your peers looking for their dads. You have the audacity to say to me, nah, bruh, dog, it's cool. And then there's times where he'll come and he'll say, yeah, I'm gonna come through for this. And I was like, it's literally up to the child and the child's personality.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, you never know, fan. Oh, God.
I was.
How I was raised. If you had to ask someone, but the time when I was not present. The time when I'm born on Sunday. Pell.
Yo.
Aye, time when I'm belly spanner. Like where I get my work ethic. Time when I'm belly span. Only in the later years. You would be more available. But primary, high school,
those formative years,
those so-called formative years, if you don't do this, the child's gonna become that. We don't know. Like no one has a clear answer.
I think I guess the biggest, not even the biggest, is stress.
Sure.
But when you're a male and you've got a daughter, you start having too many concerns. Because if you have a boy,
you're like, boy, you must behave like me.
All you are hoping for is that your boy is not soft. If you are not a soft person, you just want your boy not to be bullied around in the world, whether it's work, whatever.
Sharp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Generally, how they maneuver, like boys get a lot of leeway, so you're not trying to fine-tune every single movement and what they do, because boys get a lot of leeway, and you just sort of zomfundisa lena na lena, and he should be fine. Now that you've got a daughter, you sit there and you're trying to fine-tune and like plan to the T.
I know what you're saying.
Because you're thinking, I'm a cheater, and
you're thinking your daughter, because you know how men are.
Yes, you're
like, damn, what if my daughter,
and it's not only that
comes across me?
Can I just throw a spanner in the works? Can I throw a spanner in the works, ne?
Yeah,
so I debated this point with Ursula. Shout out Ursula if she watches.
Sure.
And she's speaking about it, and I was like, I want to pull personal experience from education.
Okay.
We were raised in a certain way,
and
we viewed life in a certain way from that generation. Now we're making a mistake in thinking that the generation of our kids is the same way. I look at my 3 boys, and I fear that they are getting left behind versus the girl child.
Yeah.
They are just surrounded by matriarch. So if you go to their school, the HODs are all female, the deputies are females, their headmistresses are females, their pediatrician is female, their OBGYN is female. They just see female energy everywhere. All these schools are doing this transformation where it's just black, female, black, female, black, female. Everything is just black within what they are seeing. Uzita's rugby coach is a female. Uzita's soccer coach is a female. This is not me just, I watch all these guys. These are female. So that's what he's now associating, right? Because he's young. So now you putting him in a space where what is dominant is female. And
interesting.
Yes, at the top of the board, it's still a white male, sure. But he's not seeing himself being reflected. Whereas the girl child in 2024, in her spaces,
she's being affirmed every day.
We switch on TV, Konu Sophia the First, Konu Doc McStuffins. There's all these strong female characters, Upopai. And you're like, strong black female characters. Little girls, Doc McStuffins, she's a black girl doctor, So you have that and you're like, where are the little black boy stars in Popeye?
In fact, I'll go extreme.
Yeah.
DSTV, we don't go, it's fine. DSTV, Showmax, when you pitch, they tell you, strong female lead. So forget even Nengosi. The female that's working, she's nice. She's even seeing herself on TV. Because even when you pitch it, Ram, Where's the female lead?
You're sitting as a parent with your kids watching Generations, for example, and you're watching a queen, you're watching Karabo take control. Or you're watching either queen and a female's taking control. So you watch your kids. Because when we were sitting by our mother's feet, we were watching Urich. You know, and then the shows that we were watching, all the males were just jokes. From Damian Wayans, even Umpopayo Simpsons, he was just a joke. All
You think that affected you? Or
Of
affected
course
us?
it affected us. Because if you look at how we dated in the early 20s, it's not how we're dating now. Oh, of course it's not. Because we thought, Uguti, when you argue with your girl, she can slap you, you buy her flowers, you hug her, kube krend.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't grow up like that.
No, you might not have grown up like that, but I'm just saying, Uti, there was a middle class narrative. There was a middle class narrative.
Sure.
Uguti, go back to our shows.
Yeah, Marinyakuthola, okay.
uTaylor ushawa uRich ngempama. Ba. uRich uyamhaka. uTaylor uyakhala, uRich wenza njani? He buys 1,000 red roses. Look at The Simpsons. You're watching The Simpsons book Popeye as a child, ne? This loser child, funny, he's still the primary breadwinner. The wife runs the house. You watch My Wife and Kids, Damian Wayans is a clown.
Yeah.
The wife runs he has all the money, but you watch all these shows, they formed a certain narrative. So now we grew up thinking and seeing the world on TV in this patriarchal, whatever light, if it was that, or Malumba, what.
Yeah.
However, when we look at when there was a shift in the, let's say, early 2000s, oh, mamethu bonke bapromote ngesikhathi esifanayo.
Yeah.
Bonke onesi sebegqoka lento. Apha kade bothisha sebengo head mistress. There was a whole shift. Now that we're in the media space, you look at like all senior management is just black females.
All agencies.
You go to any agency, the senior management team is black females. All of it. The owner is still a white guy from Switzerland or wherever, still white, that owns a white male. But the senior is black female.
When you get your money, you must go through them.
Yeah, but
Or not even go through them. They are the final decision maker for you.
So at the bottom is all these young black boys that don't know what's happening. You know, so I fear to almost disagree with what you're saying. I fear for the little black boys in today's time, because everything seems for them, because it's going to be a different challenge. We had a different challenge to our parents. It's going to seem like for them, it's going to be a fight for a voice. And even if I can go darker, because I'm about to go darker, it might speak to people that take their own lives.
Yeah.
That why is it that 4 out of 5 in this country are male?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Why is it that the man is feeling the most useless? Why is it that the man is... So when you break it down, it speaks to how we view our kids. It speaks to our definition of masculinity. It speaks to a message that I was, Scott Penson, please can you define what it means to be an alpha in 2024? And I was like, damn. I know.
Yeah. No.
But
But in its truest form, how does you call that? In its truest form, let's forget Penson and his privileges. In its truest form, when you look at black men, what is the definition of umjita in 2024? And now you are including wonka machita. Because you found a way to survive and you're able to dictate your own life.
Sure.
If someone doesn't want to accept that, move on.
But Tupigo said we the top 5%.
That's
But then we can't.
You can't. The problem is that you can never, because the gap is so big. You can never compare to the majority.
I walk into Pick and Pay, and I see just female cashiers. There might be 2 managers that are black females, and I see like 3 white men, and then I see like Amachita, Apiza, Apeka, Mashelf, yeah. Same thing at Woolies.
But wait, we do know why that is, isn't it?
That's fine. But I'm just saying, Wuti, in my day-to-day, outside of my work, when I go to a McDonald's, I just see black females being employed.
Can I ask something? Are you not feeling what feminists maybe felt 20 years ago, which is why we're in the situation? Like,
No, it's a
they
fact.
look back and saw
Yes.
the girl child not be represented.
But I'm agreeing. Yeah, I can just imagine how it feels for Jono, little Jono, who's now growing up as like, oh, I don't get a space in the team because they're putting black people. Yeah, okay, sharp. Maybe we are the Jonos now. Because then we were like,
The black man.
They were the top 5%, the privilege. So, when your grandfather was apartheid, Safa now. So maybe our sisters are looking at us and going, Safa.
Yeah, you know, you're right. And I guess when people want to, or when systems are corrected, they go too extreme.
Overcorrect sometimes.
Overswing of the
Yeah,
penguin.
that's the problem, you know. And I guess right now we're in that that thing where it's too extreme. Fortunately, we found a way to survive. But I'm not sure if in Mozako, it might come back.
Dr. Jordan Peterson speaks about those Scandinavian countries because he said patriarch and then the rest of the world went to extreme matriarch. And he says those Scandinavian countries have come back into the middle. And the middle is the most natural state
It is.
of who you are.
100%.
So now you're driven by testosterone, she's driven by estrogen. Estrogen tells us you are more patient, you are more nurturing, you are more attentive. Testosterone tells us that you're more aggressive, you are more ambitious, just pure genetic makeup. So now when you get into those spaces, but I look at my boys and I'm saying, shit. Because I'm seeing a lot of the feminine traits because that's what they're surrounded by.
And you can't blame them, you can't.
Sort of feminine
It's
traits
difficult.
No, but I'm saying, ukhumbule ukuthi every person in their own world, their own society is trying to get to the top of the hierarchy. So if you go to a boys' school, you will be influenced to want to play rugby because you want to quickly get to the top of the hierarchy. You whatever the space that you may be, and if you're a nerd that works for Google, you want to be the biggest, baddest nerd that creates all the one. So now you're in a school where, or in a system where the feminine traits of sitting, cross your legs, keep quiet, make sure you're neat. You need to have your heading and your date, and you need to underline it in a different color and rule off your work and write in cursive. So those are the things that are rewarded. You know, for them being the fact that he's good at this or good at that's not rewarded by the females. In fact, you need Ritalin, whatever the case may be. And he's like, I'm acting out in other spaces where it's heavily male. This behavior is rewarded.
Sure.
Yeah.
So mina mangibuka into yami shy push up.
Yeah.
Yes, don't shy push up wena.
Yeah.
You wena. Yabona, angithi uzama ukungimpressa because in this society that's what's but ngeke yenze into scale.
So you're saying that society is overpowering you?
Me.
As Penson,
Oh, that's a
in raising
fact.
the boys, no?
No,
No, but that's for everyone though.
yeah, I was about to
that's
say this.
everyone,
If you look, when you saw your dad for one day in a week.
Yeah. No, that's for everyone.
Yeah, so we're gonna get shaped. You're gonna leave your child in a space on 7, umlande on 4. And you think when your 2-hour contact time is going to supersede.
A whole 8 hour a day. Fit.
Because on top of that, it's their own jungle with their own ecosystem that they're spending 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
So they will move how that system moves.
Sure.
Like if that system says badlala violin, mina zonke into zami dlala violin.
And now we know.
Angiyazi ngisho ukubanjwa kanjani.
But you know, it's actually, but the funny thing is that when you speak about this thing, it actually doesn't even start now. It's been an ongoing thing. Interesting enough, and we had one of the pastors at a church that I used to go to, waikulma about an identification crisis with males in general. And why males bephela beba aggressive or they end up being people that you don't know. Bebulala abantu, whatever, to the extremes, is because majority of the life that they spend being taught what it is being a male by females. So it's become an extreme now with the coaches being female, but ufunda grade R, teacher is a female, fundu grade 1, female, grade 2, female,
grade 3.
So these are foundational. Also, Sunday, like grade 7, you start seeing more male teachers. But if generally, when you go to primary schools, the teachers that are there are females. Go to endlini. In your case, it's time aliaspana. So who's teaching you to be a male?
Your mom.
I know you're saying.
No, but like.
But let's say, young now, sure.
You're still a young boy. Your aunts are telling you. So you spend majority of your life being taught what it is to be a male by females. Then at some point in your life, you become a teen. Penson metric when you are grade 8. Penson is now teaching you how to be a man, but now with
Now une identity yakhe na.
uyadevelopa naye akakazi uyabona ukuthi
naye wafundiswa umawa
kodwa manje ukwa-matric
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
think that uPenson knows better so you've now spent 18 years trying to figure out how to be a male and no one is actually teaching you because the males from back then just didn't have time.
You know what fethu man. Was that a ring it? Yeah, no, lahle.
and what's worse when you because I was raised by TV. I think many of us we sat and we watched.
I didn't get a lot of that stuff from teachers, like especially
It was TV.
gender roles. Like I'm trying to think of all the teachers that I had.
Yeah.
I never looked at any of them. I don't remember extracting anything about being a male from them or a man.
But I guess when it becomes
It could have been maybe
constant,
if you had that, maybe if you were blessed to have that one rugby coach,
Yes.
maybe. But I'm saying, Uti, like, then we were raised by TV. I'm trying to think where I was going with this. Come on. Now you threw me off. Khomo, you're the worst.
It's a convo. It's a conversation.
As Khomo is the worst.
TV and I was like, hey.
No, but I wanted to speak around the lines of Guti. We so lost, né? Because you come back into the real world.
Yeah.
And the real world is still seeking the sister that grew up next door to you, who grew up by a single mom, né? She saw what being a strong woman is.
Yeah.
You never got to see what a strong man is.
Yes.
She saw strong woman.
Yeah.
You saw strong woman. Ne?
Yeah.
So now your whole identity is around that. And meanwhile, she, as strong as she is saying, Uma Mutwele Kanzima, I want a strong man in my life.
Yeah.
But you don't know what that looks like.
True.
So you start mimicking and copying things that you are seeing in the TV
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
However, there's no male role models that we are seeing.
No, mina
Black-
bafetha rin. Yeah. No, mina.
I think
You wait, just quickly. You're a father. You're a father. You watch TV. 12-year-old boy, whatever, black boy. Who's the father role model that you're seeing?
Mina bafetha, I was not influenced by lento near TV.
No, but
bafethu.
wait.
Hayi, mina lento like.
When you had a father at home,
yeah.
there's many guys that didn't have that.
No, in the definition of what a man is, TV never influenced me, man.
That's okay,
But
but
there are some males that you might have aspired to be, right?
No, I get Ribuaga TV versus reality. And then also, in a sense of, did TV teach me to be more feminine? I mean, I didn't have an influence of feminine or masculinity from TV. That's what I'm saying.
At all.
where did you get it from is the question then.
Let me tell you, let me give maybe some context. When it comes to a definition of a man, I don't listen to females, man. Number one.
Where do you get that from?
Innit?
Where do you
No,
get
I
that
get it.
from?
You know, sometimes, you must remember some of these things I have to remember. But if I think of my biggest influences.
I love what he just said. Did you hear what he just said?
I don't remember.
You can't
You have to remember something.
call
Yeah,
Jung.
I'm not giving
Call,
up.
so call
I
Jung.
can't deny here.
So Carl Jung speaks about the shadow, ne?
Yeah.
So the shadow is suppressed behaviors, ne? That you grew up in your formative years seeing. So I'm trying to say, yes, you haven't unpacked it within your own introspection,
Marida.
but ida,
I'll
and it's
reverse.
shaped you.
Yeah, I will not deny.
And whether you were shaped by your father working, and now that's why you work your ass off, ne? Or whether you were shaped by Tina Sasbugo rich, but you were shaped.
I'm with you. Mina what I got, ne? All my uncles, Nedamalam, especially Uncle KB, my
Did you see
biggest
that,
influence.
were they around you?
Yeah, mina ben angila mfethi ngipaisana mfethi grade 8. You know. So mina okay.
So when are you an anomaly, bro?
Okay, sharp. Okay. That's
But
It's almost a perfect storm.
Because Tina,
Giving you saw enough hardship, but inside the hardship you had these strong figures that showed you inside hardships. This is what we do.
yeah, like mina
and they didn't have to tell you.
no,
You saw it.
My uncle me working on 4. Tintwana peka on 4. I bakeries. Switch on the cause babane butcher. 4 o'clock, bakery is coming. 5 o'clock. It's
Your uncle, Lali.
yeah, uncle. My biggest influence in terms of my work ethic. Not even time I'm uncle.
So une uncle espana fucked up, une time
Fucked up.
espana fucked up.
Yeah.
In your life,
Yeah, no.
growing up as a little boy.
Yeah, no, 100%.
that
Tina
changes.
Tina's no go okutshela ukuthi ivuka ugezitsha ushanyele la. We were brought up to be the perfect wives because we did wife things.
I also did that from Umako.
No, but I'm saying what
Yeah,
you
your general,
we
yeah.
didn't see it.
I mean, I saw men who are obsessed with work. Their truest, my uncles, their truest definition of a nigga is go out and work and provide. Lezi ezinye was born Antoine. Manga uphomo yangara.
Uyazi no at Penson bathamela ilanga boy la ngaphandle. Bayaringa bagosipa ngesikhathi ukuthi usumithi ke lona umithi sewufana wangali bala ngaphandle bagqoka ama gown. And when
Yeah. Already you've got an edge because what they were teaching you ukuthi ungabaleki.
face it.
Okay.
A lot of homes had dads that weren't facing nothing.
You're right.
They weren't facing nothing. It's either bayabaleka or even if uyasebenza akabuyisi naleyo mali leyo uyidla.
But let me
funny enough-
maybe mhlambe lo baba lo who's doing that is watching in soccer. Let's just give an example. Thina sinama oledi siyazi ukuthi ngo5 sekubuka i-days. So you uyintwana wazi ukuthi wena at a certain time you wind down buka i-days for wenze show ukuthi ibhodo uyalalela ulalela ibhodo ngapha ngapha buka i-days. Qeda i-days buka ibhodo. Qeda ibhodo buka isting. Qeda isting. You understand?
Generations afterwards. Yabona after.
Sihamba ini mase wenza show ukuthi wenza izinto that were tailored to. That's why for a lot of and mina nomabili ngibiza ngama deputy mom because of that type of thing you will
You can't say
assimilate.
that. You don't live in the media.
I lived with the media for 15 years.
Lived. See, good 2024 much.
No, but I stopped.
Hey,
Guys.
Can I say something?
I broke my
That-
seal.
that-
I lived with this,
wait,
and God bless her because she's a phenomenal woman.
Yeah.
She's a phenomenal woman.
Does Penson change over time?
Of course.
You right now, you don't know who Penson would have been if Bagathala made in 2024. Can we say that?
I can tell you how I would be.
No.
Oh, guys,
Okay.
when 2023 was Izolo mos.
Awukavi.
But in 2023.
Awukavi.
But why Wangbuzi about how was it the last 4 years?
Sure.
Excuse. I was definitely deputy mom with my firstborn. Ne? Because I was assimilating.
And I think you have to. Your firstborn.
I don't know if you have to.
And you know, I want to throw something like
Sure.
something answer.
But I'm saying I don't know the answer. Let's just all say none of us do.
Okay.
I'm just trying to say, Guti, one thing that I started moving towards is she's very strong here.
Yeah.
I need to show my kids the other side of the coin.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but so there's so many guys that try to, let's say the mom is away on work, whatever. This was me. We're talking about me because I was deputy mom for so many years. I'm now trying to assimilate and do what she would have done. So even if you look at the way Kanya is kaftin, you know, kaftin is starch, is fruity, is treaty.
You're trying to mimic because she did it the best version.
Because we don't know what the best version
No,
is.
you haven't done it, so there can't be a conversation about
but
it.
you check me out.
Sure.
From how I'm raising, I'm only raising from my experiences. I can't talk about an experience that I've never seen, lived, heard, dreamt. So again, I saw how my mom was. Yeah? I saw how my aunts were. I saw how my next door neighbor's mom was. And then I see Losisi was phenomenal how she was as a mother. So she's away on work. What do? I assimilate what I'm seeing. So the way that I'm making the lunch tin, you know, a roll here, some fruits there, and then a treat, and then a water. Yeah, I'm assimilating.
Sure.
Okay, boy, I know that on these days we make muffins. So him lo ku YouTube sengifuna kwenza ama-muffin yabona no boy. Okay, no, it's your bedtime now, my boy. Yabona, because I'm assimilating to what I'm seeing, what I know.
For that time being.
Sure. To a point where after a while I'm saying, no man, he's experiencing that. He's getting that. Yabona, endlini all the time. He's getting that at school. What is he not getting? What is that? So as great as my boys love the violin, they are not getting
Yeah.
They are not getting that
You have to
experience.
do that. Oh, I get you now. Yeah.
Not visiting it like going to the zoo. Because they're not visiting the violin like a zoo. They are living it on the daily. So when they see me, the way that when you saw your dad, it equaled man that works hard and breaks his back. He wasn't visiting that. It was
doing it every day.
He was doing it every day. So for me, even when I was sitting with them, alone, and he'd be like, so we must
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
But I knew Guti with their mother that is never acceptable for you to leave a 3-year-old or 4-year-old, whatever the case may be. Never acceptable. That's great. And that's a good trait to have for them to understand. Guti, that's the one side of the coin.
Yes.
The other side of the coin, Guti machita, ngiyavaya.
Yeah.
So my mother was extremely loyal to my father, was extremely toxic.
Sure.
So she was the angel on this shoulder. And then we got to see this guy. So now it's two extremes that you can kind of look at. Obviously, you judge this guy because he was visiting in our lives versus this one who was more stable. But then because I lived with Umawabo, I needed them to see ukuthi time come hell or high water. My Boogie TV, I saw the Boogie Project Runway. Noma kanjan.
Sure.
The ball that buga itama, no matter what, uzo Boogie Rugby, Jimini, and the most, I'd even overcompensate. Excuse me. I'd even overcompensate because I knew Guti their day from when they got to school at 7 till a certain time, it was just feminine. So I'd overcompensate because I needed them to see the other side of this coin. Because when they go into the world out there, the female figure, as powerful as she may be an MD at a media agency. She will say, I'm a female at the end of the day. I pee sitting down. I don't want a partner that also pees sitting down.
Yeah. You know what it is? I want to throw in two things. I'm not that.
You said you wanted to throw it to people.
No, Magafika. I want to throw in something. I want to throw in something. Magafika. So just, I'm not that. I don't believe in a household where...
You can't be that. It's a Friday. It's 8:30. You hear grafting.
Sure. So I need to call my deputy mom, the tape. And I think, three things. Let me say this.
There's words that we say, and there's ways where we move.
Yeah, no, for sure. Correct.
Yeah.
Identity bam ungayilahleli nje nje amanye amajita azocommit suicide because abana ama superpower. No, this is serious.
No, yeah.
Some men don't have superpowers. Yabona mina uyangishaya ne? Ingishaya maybe 1 second. Mara ngiyazi ngine superpower enye entswembu blind. So I can
recover.
Yangithola. Amanye amajita ungayithundela limpe. Yabashaya.
Kanti ngitshela lo mjita lo okadela lo bhuti lo.
Tracy.
Drag.
Sis. Why is it close up mfethu? Sis, why is that close up mfethu?
Ufuna ukuthi ubone mawukhuluma ngo-drag. Ubone ku-camera.
Yeah.
What's wrong? What did I say? What did I say that's wrong? Oh, ngiyaxolisa. So yes, keep going. Mina understand about
Penson.
What did you asked to see why you zoomed in, and I said, "Oh, Caesar wants to see."
So.
I was zooming out because even if he zooms out, uyakwazi ukumbona kahle awudingi ukuzuma in. So when I'm ukhuluma
replay of the action.
Okay, Penson, you already said about what I just spoke about.
So anyway, I was referring to, he was talking about the whole deputy mom thing. It's a big thing. Our whole chat, the reason why I really wanted Pigo to join us in this chat, because I know Pigo, incredibly masculine, German, plays rugby, all the stereotypes that you can think about in terms of masculinity. But now he's got a beautiful daughter. So I wanted to see ushifta kanjani in his parenting philosophy.
It's for me.
Because the guy is a jola. You're toxic. Toxic. Chauvinist man.
But
nale ngane leyo nozama ukuthi ibe yiyo yonke into izothola toxic. Umama wathola toxic nami ngizoyithola yami.
It's such a difficult thing.
Yeah.
Because even nasendlini, listen, I'm doing all of the things that your typical guy, but in the way that I do them, it gives very dad.
Namanga.
In
Ngiyabuka. Sayibuka
in the-
vele i-WhatsApp yakho nama
Phela
Instagram.
yes, but like umehluko when mom is doing if mom is not around,
Yeah.
sivuka
Yeah.
from the time we wake up to the evening.
Listen carefully.
Kuze kukhale na mina ngisebenza nge-structure, so ku-cute and whatever, yes, because she needs, but ngihamba nge-structure. Yavuka ekuseni, I don't wait for a certain time because I need to do my own things. So you wait. She has to wake up at 6, whether she's up or not. She's gonna wake up at 6:30. Then we do bath time, whatever. By 7:30, the day is done.
Part time. Just walk us through part time.
So vuka ekuseni.
How does part time look like? Because I remember part time
Oh,
for
part-
me.
part
There's
time.
bubble pots and like
Ugcineni
toys
15
and.
years ago when.
How
That's
can
very-
So I used to, you remember, I used to post myself with my
Yes.
kids and all.
No.
I used to be part of that.
Yes.
Because again, those are things that you used to see like umawabo with their kids.
Oh.
Baba pot. Mina manje. Yabona manje.
Yeah.
Ishi, angenzi next. Azi ngokuhlala with the 3 boys. Ngihlala iviki lonke. Ukuthi badleni kanjani, bagqokeni kanjani, angeni. Iviki lonke yimi nabo. Ngiyezwa nje ekseni.
No. You
Angenzi
used to-
next match. They must
I'm
figure it out.
trying to think if it's going to change. Maybe ngizoyenza. You are actually on the extremes. Mina vuka ekuseni,
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
ngivuka
And
ekuseni.
you don't know if it's going to work out or not.
100%.
That's the thing about kids.
So yeah, I'm trying. Maybe I'll get there. But ngivuka ekuseni, avuke. I just ngihamba nge. I like process. Vuka ekuseni, avuke. By the time avuka, amanzi sengwalungisile.
But she's also very young as well.
Yeah,
So
no,
must-
And
she's-
female,
account for that.
into-
She's
Yes,
approaching too. Aye, vuka.
Manje female
Faka
when
amanzi.
uthe ushanga.
Wena usenjeni wena. Wena ushoda nge-female wena. Yabona lama views lawa.
Kancane,
Ayophela.
kancane, kancane.
But vuka ekuseni, khulula. Ngena into the bath. Mayingena, ngimshiya nalama sponge waswanje. Ngilungise ezinye izinto on the other side. So I leave her by herself to do
Play
whatever.
around in the water, yeah.
Bengilungise ezinye izinto. I come back.
Gets it fast, eh?
Skeze fast, we finish. Whether she wants to leave the water or not leave the water,
Schedule.
we are on schedule.
Yeah.
She knows we finish. We get dressed, we get things done, we go to school. Evening, same situation. You come back, have snack, get into the bathtub whether you like it or not, which is, I see when the mother's around, Uti, she prefers her mother's way because it's more lenient and so I do the things, but I do it in a very rigid.
That's not a deputy mom though.
I do them in a very
No,
rigid.
but we don't
manner.
understand. But this is my entire question.
Sure.
I have not been blessed with a girl
Yeah.
yet.
I want a boy, I want her.
No, but
Ugile.
give me siqale conversation sikhuluma nge-OPE.
Yeah.
So OPE, in my sense, angithi we're all trying to do the best that we can. I'm trying to raise, if I was blessed with a daughter, a strong, feminine woman
Yeah.
who will seek a strong, masculine male.
Yes.
So if I was given that, angithi ngikhuluma based angazi,
Yeah.
angazi ngiphiwe.
Sure.
I would not raise my daughter the way that I raise my sons.
You can't. You shouldn't.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Because I want my sons, as feminine as they are in spaces, and they're also still young, I want them to become strong masculine males to attract a feminine, strong female.
Yes.
So I don't know this side. So whenever I listen to fathers that have daughters, they trying to raise a queen who's also got king traits and is everything and can change tires and can also, and I'm going, okay, that's great. But now thinking about the partner that I'm hoping they attract, how does that guy, if it's again a heterosexual world, how would that guy look like?
That's why Njama, I'd rather go abe extreme, fan. I would rather have the guy
Ebe-
complain.
ebe star-
Your daughter,
Ufuna intombazane ibe star.
uqinile, your daughter back chat, rather that.
Okay, sharp. Ne? The mother of this daughter is not a back chatter. is sweet, listens, attentive, and is a strong queen in her right. So now,
Opposite route.
so now,
Cause she
by-
got lucky, she found a real nigga.
oh,
She got a real nigga. I'm not sure if my daughter would be lucky to find a nigga like me.
so, but that is the fear that I have, because
Yeah.
being feminine doesn't mean you're weak. You can be very, very strong in your femininity,
100%.
as I'm saying your partner is. So now, my fear is that now, if I raise my daughter and she becomes this, and she becomes a strong female, but also with a lot of strong male traits, with the boys that are coming up that are her peers, uzoyithola yini the other side of this coin.
My daughter must eat these niggas alive.
It's cool to say it when your daughter's 22, 23. It's weird when your daughter is 38 and she's saying, Dad, I just can't find a man. And then your daughter is 46 and
That's
still...
assuming that feminists find men.
No, feminists fine, man. Unless we're not talking about the neo-toxic feminist.
Oh,
That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Because when I told
Yeah,
your wife is
you're
a feminist,
right.
and I
You're
know your
right.
partner is a feminist. I know she's a feminist. But she's very strong in her femininity as well.
yeah.
Just can I throw something in here?
Sure.
Eish, I'm gonna get slack for this. Damn.
Vele wena sekwazi chauvinist.
Aye, bro. How does
Usuyekile.
society progress by having black, strong males? And I'll tell you where I'm coming from.
How does society progress by having strong black
How
males?
many men go to... Eish, now these people are gonna have me. Damn it, I had this convo with Komotso. How many men go in Tabin, Amakos? How many go in a year? Do we know? We don't know.
My experience, a whole chunk of them.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, just my own
Does the
experience.
Xhosa nation progress from those niggas going up there?
We wouldn't know. We wouldn't know because we don't have the bench of if they didn't go. So
Yeah. But the point is they're going
Yeah.
to be men. You're a boy, you become a man.
yeah,
Or a masking is.
yes.
The society progress by them going there and becoming men.
But you know what the thing is.
But my question is, society needs this level man. Ne?
Yeah.
I'm saying, let's say they are boys. They no longer. I'm asking Wuti, maybe by going there, it is benefiting because we don't
I'm not
have.
denying the
But it's not an
benefit.
A/B test. If it was an A/B test, then we could give you your answer.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm not saying it does progress, but I'm saying to what extent? Because the way we're speaking about it, it's almost
Personally,
like
I don't think it progresses. If you want my because when I compare your average, let's say, guy who does
you see.
your average black man
Yeah.
that doesn't go to Ntabeni
Yeah.
versus a guy who believes in the tradition of going to Ntabeni, on average,
Sure.
I don't see
You don't see a
when,
difference.
when they get to age 40.
So when you become the man, because that's masculine.
So
When
I
Zagalan-
was actually want to say, which it's actually
Nanti Xhosa.
Hey, so yeah.
no. So I was gonna say, Guti, it's not just Xhosa people.
Basotho do it as well.
It's the Sutus, it's
Ah,
the
Papa,
Pedi.
yeah,
it's-
a lot of people do it. I just
No,
brought them.
that-
I just brought them as an example. I know other people do it. Yeah.
I was gonna say, Guti, it's just that for Xhosa people, it's been publicized and it's been made a thing. It's like even when you look at Kenya, when you think of Kenya and the Maasai tribe, and they make it seem like it's the biggest tribe when it's not, you know. So we'd have to make it as a basis of black men in South Africa because majority of the cultures actually have an initiation process.
Let's speak to your culture.
Yeah.
Do your people progress? Because you went people that went to a mountain and they came back as men, masculine men, and they are this thing in society. Has society in your context, Xhosa nation, progressed? And I'll tell you why I'm asking, because we need to answer this question of us being obsessed with manhood going to extreme.
Oh,
Because for me, in 2024, we need to really find a balance. So I want to figure out this thing that we are obsessing over. According to you, because we have a stage where people go through something, they become something else. What have you seen become the change?
it's
So can you?
yeah.
I feel like the question is difficult because
Oh, my God.
we're assuming that everyone starts at the same place.
That's where I was gonna go.
No. Mara, what is Mara, but you guys are unfair. Chance.
So
What they go to the mountain? The only thing I know these niggas have done when they came back is
party.
act harder. They act harder.
So-
they
so-
form little groups. They form little squads.
So let's put it like this to make it simple.
Sure.
You must remember that the initiation process also happens when I can put it to Guti, if we look at the development years of a human being, Guti, these things happen in your teen years. So we are putting a process into place, but logically, you take any 18-year-old, any
Sure.
18-year-old, and you expect them to behave like an adult, it's not going to happen.
Sure.
So I feel like it's a difficult one
Don't
because
keep it cool, Ngada. Sorry.
we won't. You can't measure. You can't measure properly because.
But it becomes unfair when you can't
we are-
measure it over it because we've put a definition that says you are becoming a man. So we need to measure the manhood. We can't just say that we have practices and then when we ask the question, what is the result? We want to go back to formative years.
No, but the thing is, if we then take it to those years,
yeah.
the guys that come back and the guys that haven't
Yeah.
will have a completely different output on life, simply because they had to survive. See, we just leave everything else because now we have to look at you are 18, 17. Sure. We don't even know what you are your team. One person has had to survive for a month. When I survive for a month, one has never. We are feet or we are totos and clean. You take that guy and you take that guy, and if the following day something had to happen where two people had to survive, the one guy would probably survive.
Mina Pico, I agree what you're saying.
No,
But just hear me out. I agree with what you're saying fully. And I like the fact that you're talking about 18 because even when you're talking about they come back, we are talking about 18 to 20, let's just say.
okay.
But I think where Debs is looking at, he's looking at, let's take the tradition, the closer guy who is 18, doesn't go to the mountain, and one that does. Now let's fast forward their life at age 40 in a white capitalist system.
Still one.
Oh, in a white capitalist system,
But you have to come back into it.
Yeah.
So you have to come back into it. Yeah, you have to come back into it. So going to the mountain doesn't guarantee you a job or doesn't guarantee you a degree. Let's just say to survive in this system that we have. So if you're taking two 19-year-olds, one who both single mother, exact same, the one who in Tabeni, when they come back and you give them challenges for X time, I would assume from my experiences that I've seen, the one who in Tabeni is better equipped to handle those situations.
To handle what?
Those situations.
Okay.
It's like if you take two 19-year-olds one goes to army training, just a boot camp
Perfect.
for 2 months.
I'm with you.
Yeah, when it comes back. I look at it like that.
Sure.
In the short term, the one that went to a boot camp for 2 months, will be strong and more resilient. But then you take them, because it was army training, but then you come back and you bring them into this world. Bobabili basebenza eclicks. Bapatanisa, that life. Amantombazane still wants a match that drive a 4-pipe. Amantombazane still wants a match that earn X.
Sure.
All of a sudden, as they age, outside of, because now let's take them away from the Xhosa environment and we put them in not even a Joburg environment, we put them in fucking Hong Kong. Those things are no longer of value as you get older within that specific community. They've got their own bench. So you come to Joburg, I don't care that you went to the mountain because I didn't go to the mountain as a Xhosa guy, let's say, but I've got the job. I've got the business. I drive the car. I wear the clothes.
I trump you.
In terms of society, maybe in terms of culturally, in our little space, it's often Vaba, you the man, mina ninkwenkwe. But within the space of Joburg, where there's millions of people,
And you're there
What a-
most of the time, unlike Rapeka.
on top of that, I own the KFC that you work at. So when yes, we end up in terms of traditionalist Xhosa things and windoda, but windoda holelwa yimi umfana.
That's what I'm saying. We need to redefine what is manhood
we
in
have to.
2024.
Within your
Yeah.
Within your context.
your context that we're speaking about, because again Upiko has, it's very very valid, because again my experiences of a lot of Amachita was when I was in varsity, and I was in varsity 15 years ago,
You see, yeah.
and again
I
now
changed them fun. Yeah.
ngeke ufike kimi uzoflexa, let's say, okay, my culture doesn't do that, but ngeke kimi uzofika kimi uflexe kuthi indoda but uno 5 rand. In today it's a different measure of what manhood is, and that's where I think you are going,
Yeah, Uguti man, we've put these
because whether you played first team rugby, let's say you were in a space, we both went to a boys' school, and first team rugby was the hierarchy, and you were first team rugby captain, and Mina, I was the loser that didn't play sport, and everybody laughed at me. Fast forward 20 years, now I'm a business person, what, and I have your first team rugbyness doesn't hold any weight anymore here. Sekonka itafula mingcolile igcwele amabhodlela.
Eish, mfana.
When
Uyangikhalela.
we kakade, but siyakubuka ngaphandle, hey, Abuchita Faith was the first team captain. Oh, head boy lapha esigele lo. Yabona lo, hey, why head boy? So again, we need to understand ukuthi that's why your question is so philosophical and it's so layered in saying the importance of a black man in today. Because sometimes we want to blur the lines between being a traditionalist black man in a white system. And if you're not adhering to
Some
their
women said to me,
rules-
some women have said to me, I said, even in that black system that we had, most of the reasons why the women stayed was because they had no option. If our parents or our great-grandparents had the option to leave and they were working like our modern women, they would have left. That's their assumption.
Poste is ku Instagram. Cabanga ugogo wakho ukwazi ukuposta is ku Instagram. Kube wawo umshimkhulu wakho. Kuba ukho la. Kube wakwazi ukuposta is. Why is my goggles? Ngene ma DM athi so. Ethi lo dlala kancane.
I think generally as black people, there's a lot of things we need to question and see what are they still for us now? Because we live in a society where things have changed.
In our space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I question is the value of ilobola today.
In 2024.
In 2024.
Yeah.
What it does in the economy that we live in, and then does it actually propel umshado wenu, or is it something that actually holds back izinto zenu from propelling?
Sure.
And I think there's a lot of things that we actually need to question and see which do these things actually take us forward, or keeping in mind which people have changed these things. We've even forgotten the purpose of certain things. We don't even know
certain practice,
what these practices were for and what they meant at the time. Because when I think of it, but we actually don't know what was the purpose and how this thing started.
but the significance of it 50 years ago was also different from what it was 100 years ago.
Yes.
Because again, going back, I think the mistake is that we're straddling between the traditionalist ways and the urban ways or the Western ways. So now you'll have people saying, when I pay, I was cleansing home.
Yeah.
And then you look at them and you're like, but I can buy it.
That's the thing.
So when uyakwazi uyihlinza, but uyakwazi ukuthi uyithenge. So now all
And
of a
then
sudden,
hire people abazoyihlinza ngihlale kanje.
Ngiphuze.
Ngiphuze.
Ungicela 10 rand. A cigarette.
Delegate.
Because that's what we see us extreme privileged people when we go back to the homelands. Ne? Because there's so many things where, let's say you have got the drunk uncle or the cousins that will say, hey, when I'm talking so what's going to look now.
And you look at them, eh?
Yeah, but no, well, it's different because I'm privileged. So, I'm not figure, so figure, I'd bang put him to be, see? Because again, the system. Bangafika kwenzeki. Bangafika mina kwenzeki.
Yeah.
Awu it's khona umcimbi kanjani maphela udinga mina ukuthi ngisign off ama
Document. Sign off my papers.
so wena isizulu sakho sengathi right but ngiyakwazi ukuthi yabona. So again, it becomes those things where we're straddling these lines where you have people saying, when I Penson, you're not Zulu enough, in certain spaces. So give me, it's just, again, what are the rules of engagement in the spaces that I'm in?
Spaces. So we're then saying, that traditional man, our parents, our grandparents,
Yeah.
he was a traditional man at home.
Yeah.
Espaneni was a kid.
Yes, of course.
Nokuyingane.
Ethunywa ibhune na
Ebamtshela
18.
9
Ibhune na 18.
Ngalo yopheka lama drumstick.
Yohan ebembiza Petrus.
Yeah.
Umniki igama,
The thing you're speaking about is very important.
Umkhulu wakho bamnikile igama bambiza ngoPetrus.
It's spaces.
Is that not why really our culture right now, what we inherited was that culture is so important because the culture had to be important because that is the only place that
They
our
felt
fathers had
had power. Yeah.
outside of that culture, in the real world,
They were nothing.
they were boys.
They were
And
nothing.
they were.
That's not what we inherited.
It goes to that question that I was asked, Wuti Penson, please can you define being an alpha? And I was saying, Wuti, I look at it in two planes of existence, ne? And I say for me, being an alpha is a man who does what he needs to do, that he wants to do when he says he needs to do it. That to me is an alpha. And then the second plane is within that environment. So again, being an alpha, you need alphas to recognize you as an alpha.
Yes.
But it has to be within that environment. So again, mina mangibuyela ngiyekuvukeni. And now in that space, they have a definition of what an alpha is in a traditionalist space. So now, can I do what I need to do within that space to be recognized by the alphas that I'm an alpha? Then I'm an alpha, because if I decide to go to California and I go to or Silicon Valley and I say I'm an alpha because ngiyachima namatatu and mina ngenza into engiyifunayo kuthiwa but awukwazi ukuprogramma boy awukwazi ukuprogramma and then i-hierarchy
Yeah, boy.
ogirl bonke laba bagcwele laba abashaya ngama-lens
China.
Bakusha 10 note, boy.
amantombazane bafuna the best program.
Yeah.
Amantombazane nje uma ifuna ukujola ajola the best programmers. Wena namathathu wakho lana
Uzojima la.
uzojima la
Siyaprograma
la when you push up la then they see
Shut
they're like guys are meathead is storm they see us a meathead with storm back minus because in that ecosystem. So I was saying look at it in both those planes.
Yeah.
But it has to be led by you making your own decisions, standing, but within a specific framework.
Yeah, that's been sometimes how I define these things. I don't like going too detailed because then it becomes too complex for me. And as with Dave's.
Yeah.
For many alpha, you must do the thing that most people don't want to do, whether it's male or female. I'm about to get Spanish, shava 14 hours, like I'm in for that 14 hours. You do whatever it takes to make sure that your family is good. If you
but within, and because if we're in a space where Tina is a machita,
sure,
as funu kezizich,
yeah,
that is we recognize and like I'll do what needs to be done. Mina ngizokuzizich.
sure.
Ngeke be alpha githi la in this specific environment.
I think the
No.
simplest way to put
No. I don't think you guys are getting me, but yeah.
I think the simplest way to put being the alpha male is asserting dominance. Manje, dominance iyohluka in
Depending
different
on the
spaces.
spaces.
So ngenze ukuthi lana sise kitchen wonke umuntu uwasha izitsha. If wena ontswempu ngokuwasha izitsha, you've asserted dominance.
Thina siyakuvuma.
Thina siyakuvuma.
Kumele sikuvume.
But you just said uthi
No,
I said in the space, it's important that within a space, there's always a social currency or commodity, whatever you want to say, in a space. If you go to a traditionalist boys' school within Joburg, the alphas are the ones that tend to play first team sports.
I mean, I don't look at it like that.
But if you go to the kids, angithi ukhumbule ukuthi each space will define it for themselves.
Dominance iyazicacela in that space.
Yeah, for me, I don't define it like that. For me,
Ngeke ube alpha ekhanda lakho wedwa.
No. I'm saying that, especially if you're a man that has a family.
Yeah.
Me and my alphaness does not define what the men think of me. I don't give a shit about you guys. I can watch the teachers now. Nila.
Yeah.
Me and my definition of it. When my woman looks at me, like just lenjale, he will do whatever it takes. Month end, 7 grand. That's what I need.
But you speaking to our point, Guti, within that society, you merely said when your woman looks at you or when your family looks at you.
Yeah.
So within that ecosystem,
Yeah.
the mere fact that you're willing to break your back, whether it's someone more fire on the streets, whether within that ecosystem, they value that.
But I'm saying nothing else matters. When your
Sure.
opinion says but
but that's what we were saying. Guti, in whatever society that you are in,
okay.
you know, because even in a group of goth kids, emo kids, there's an alpha within their own little culture. Within the most depressed one is the alpha.
I guess I'm not into those spaces where I feel those things.
No, but
maybe
in the
that's
spaces that you are in.
Kwispace sakho now
Kwispace
because
sakho,
wena
you are doing.
mawucabanga yabona nje ucabanga kanjani mawubona umjita who doesn't do lento oyishoyo yabo of breaking their back.
Yeah.
You don't see them as that guy as an alpha male. Kungenzeka ba in a circle.
Give me an example, because le nchale yavuma.
Oh. so
You pastor. He must do this thing. Let me
For you to a man who wakes up and just doesn't work at all, doesn't have a job, but is busy telling his wife, "Ngiphekela ukudla."
ukhona nosebenzayo uyasebenza sebenza as hard as you. Wawuphula umqolo kodwa wenzani mayithola imali yakhe uyekonka iphuza ne5 in his circle
alpha.
We alpha with those guys that he sits with at konka but ukhron manothi luyeza today abayazi home situation but in that circle ekonka the owner yasekonka iyazi ukuthi hey
uBrabanman
yes.
You know what's
but at home and to you and to every other present
person that sees like you, he's a loser.
Uyiloser kodwa konka nabo bonke abantu abambonayo uyi alpha male bambheka bathi
khona ama alpha male kuma squatter camp kulelwe lana kuyaphatha khona alpha male osise kuma squatter camp bambheka
Obsess over this thing, man, Buffett.
But I'm saying
it's a context.
It changes because there's many men that will look at like a Mark Zuckerberg as a loser beta. There's many men who look at him as soft.
You know about fuzz through his app.
Yeah, so there's many men who see that. But in the same but in the same space, there's many men and females that might look at Mike Tyson and go, "Oh, when I literally you just get punched in the face." Is that the best use of your brain to get punched in the face?
The interesting thing, actually, now that you're speaking, is that I feel like for men, there's too many variables.
Yeah.
For women, if we sit and when women sit amongst themselves, if formula E1 for you to be an alpha woman, ungabe khona bazolwa, but at the end of the day, would be you've got your things together. Umsebenzi, whatever. You can hold things down ending as well. A lot of women will align with that.
But you're generalizing towards our space.
Because the space he understands.
Because in our space, we look at alpha as basic provision and protection.
Yeah.
So for us, the guy who can afford or makes X and physically can do Y, alpha.
Yeah.
Samvuma, grand.
Sure.
Yeah, so for us, when we see Uprabanbani or Sebenzayo makes a great salary for his family, and what thinking he touch his daughter. For us, we say alpha secret within our space. So I think we must always qualify it by saying, because I was for the longest time just saying, look, at the end of the day, as men, it's all about who can fuck up the other one.
Nah.
And then after, because again, that's the most primitive way.
It is.
And it speaks to the majority of the world.
Yeah.
Ne? Uputin is the most alpha because ngasiqhumisa sonke ngamabhomu sife sonke.
Safe.
Yabo? But then as you move into different spaces and different subcultures and different, you start realizing what you know, man. Khona amajita azak umjita fethu uyamcheck fethu umjita is 20 kgs uphelile. But within la ijele wonke umuntu ulalela yena. Ncan phelile but kulalelwa nje yena. And you go, I could fuck up this guy. But you can't because you said Jele, you're going to become his wife. Now mama sells akho wonke.
My veifi.
But here you're a baby. Indoda. Yena indoda.
You went to the nightmare.
Yeah.
Caesar, you wanted to say something. We've been cutting you. I've been looking at you. You wanted to say something.
No, it's this thing that you guys have pretty much broken down. In that it's very hard to say what is a man when there are so many perspectives now, and because we don't all sort of approach this destination of a man
Yeah, the same.
from the same start. So it's like, oh, okay. Debs probably had to trip and fall. Oh, myself, I'm cruising, maybe, you know. So all of those things along the way, they don't. But I guess maybe for me, it's like, how do we maybe look at, because society is divided, and we can't run away from class and maybe what some people might come across in their sort of like classes. You know what I mean? So it's like we need to maybe almost look at, okay, what does a guy or says Lalini have to face? They probably have to sort of have a much harder sort of approach to life because they are
Faced with different challenges.
yes, the challenges are much more dead on, you know. And then for myself, it's like, okay, what's my challenge? My challenge is probably to have more sort of disposable money, so I can put up the electric fence. Probably, if I can afford it, have my kids be picked up by someone and be put in the house, be safe.
Yeah.
So my manliness and my sort of dominance is expressed in a much more influential way as opposed to a forced physical dominance, you know? Yeah.
Tor, you know why? You know, as you're speaking right now, and I'm asking myself, why part of my question of what a man is so simplified? And I guess as you're speaking, I'm thinking about it, it's because of my childhood. Mina mangilama will do whatever it takes to the wives and their children are secured. So for me, that has become the base.
So provision has been.
Yeah, outside of that, I'm fine. I can do the garden in front of men. I can do dishes in front of men. I can try and still save you.
Yeah.
Ice boy.
I'll be ice boy.
I will do whatever. But
Yeah.
at the core of me, I know
Yeah.
that there's one thing that defines me. And I think maybe a lot of niggas, they want to be the alpha in many spaces.
Well, how they view. Because
Is that I'm saying? That is the problem. That's what I'm saying, Wuti.
is it a problem?
I think so. Because here's a problem. Because we are normal township, as in middle class people, our definitions of many things cannot be too complex. We're gonna be very confused. So I think that I've my simplification of what a man is defined on that. I'll do whatever it takes. If I need to wake up at 3 a.m., I'll wake up at 3 a.m. As long as I make sure with month end of grand, that is my definition of a man. You do whatever it takes to make for the family to survive. Because once I add more layers, bro,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in environments I don't understand. I'm fighting myself. I'm sleeping and then I'm like, yo, because now my definitions are swayed by the different environments. And I'm saying that is the problem we're facing in society. Men want to become the alphas in all environments.
But I don't think there's something wrong with that.
You can't achieve it. You need to be an anomaly.
No, but
As a middle class person, bro, maybe 2 spaces you are the alpha. Beyond that, bro, no. At some stage you can't pay for the bill.
So my thing is
I
hear what you
Okay,
say,
sure.
but you put a limitation when you sort of think at it like that, because you must remember, as I said before,
Sure.
ukuthi asifani nabanye, you know.
That was leading to, because we'll have to wrap up, and I want to go into a very sensitive topic.
Okay.
I want to talk about trauma and depression. Debza, you spoke about the fact that your father worked his ass off to leave something for the family. You spoke about an uncle that had businesses.
Yep.
So already you grew up as an extreme anomaly. We can agree to that. Ne?
Okay. Sure.
We speak about privilege. Like this week, my kids were to Kruger National Park. You can already see
Yeah.
ukuthi.
Sure.
So when I speak about them working hard and what, in today's time where the black man doesn't have the opportunity to work hard, because we need to also be cognizant of that.
Yeah.
When there might have been businesses to fall back on. When Pigo, you might have had financial injections to go to a good school and to go to university. So did I.
Yeah.
So for us on privileged island, when we speak about, you need to work hard, you need to go to gym and train, khona bangakwazi to just the resource to do so. And then there's that effect of when they hear Debs are saying, waking up at 3, ngivuke eblorhweni, ngivuke emkhukhwini, ngivuke ngo-3 ngiyephi.
Yenzeni? Yeah. Okay.
Mangivuka ngo-3 ngiyaphi.
Sure.
Now we have to deal with a whole generation of men that are dealing with extreme trauma, dealing with extreme depression. I believe that's why GBV is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
You know, I believe Wuti, men are so frustrated at not being able to. And as a result, bagcina sebe, either they end themselves and they take their lives, or bagcina nje become absolutely useless and add nothing. So you guys as fathers, you guys as businessmen, you guys as providers, what are you saying to a huge chunk of black men who don't know what to do when they wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning?
You're not gonna like my answer, man. You know, my mentor said something about
About now, when I'm a mentor.
No. You know, one of my mentors, Oprah Pet, Dilepa Media.
No, just 2 seconds. Does Penwell know, the one that doesn't drink, that you're drinking out of his cup?
Caesar, come
Caesar,
on.
you can't be drinking. You
can't do that,
Caesar's drinking alcohol out of a cup, out of a person that doesn't drink alcohol. Take a picture of this. Taking a picture of this. I'm snitching. I am snitching. I am snitching. I am snitching on you. This guy's drinking alcohol from a person's cup that doesn't drink alcohol.
You know that answer, ne?
Sure.
There isn't an answer.
Okay.
My mentor's a Muslim,
Okay.
and he speaks about the idea of
Like when you say Muslim, are you saying that he's like an Arabic man
Islamic
or
or-
like Mfukwazi tu Sumani, like he what is it? A light.
It's a
Yeah,
black Islam.
now.
Yeah. That's why I went to Islam.
The reason why I say that. No, can I tell you where it's coming from?
Yeah.
He abase Palestine. Fine.
so
You've got two. It's
Yes. So the reason why I'm asking is like if you say, hey, my mentor who's Jewish, ne?
Yeah.
And then you say he's black.
Oh,
That is
that's
so
true.
layered.
Okay,
Because
sure.
it speaks to a whole experience.
Nah, he's black.
And then on top of that,
Black
a
hood.
black Islamic man.
Yeah, he's a
bona ukuthi already nje lo muntu loyo
hood nigga understands the
uhuzu.
hood to the T.
lo mthetho lo khuluma ngayo
Yeah.
uhuzu.
He's probably
Raised on peace.
yeah, like hey. Nigga.
So
Yo,
he ate pork growing up.
yeah, no, hey,
Edlu poloni. So he had to stop ukudla poloni.
you know.
Yeah.
He says he taught me something about being grateful.
Sure.
Because he said to me, you know, Tebza, why do you think you got where you got to? And it's a hard one. Because you can bring out all those things.
Sure.
Hard work, my family, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, let's go to your family because you're saying it's your family. What made them get to that point so that you can get to that? At some stage, you won't have an answer.
Of course.
At some stage, you're like, etlek angazi. So that question, I would say, I don't know, man. Because there are many, there are people who work harder than me, but they're not where I'm at.
Of course.
There are people who read faster than me. There are people who are just better than me in anything that defines me, but they're not where I'm at. So it means that we don't know from what I'm getting from him. Like, from all the answers we can give, we can find someone that does better. I can say I work hard. I know other niggas work harder than me. I can say, no, I think I'm here where I am because I'm more creative. I know more niggas who are more creative than me. I can say, no, I'm more connected. I know more niggas who are more connected than me. So I'm saying, Wuti, that answer is hard. Because I starve. We can come up with all these.
But Debs, it's hard to a point because if you as a black boy are a seed, there's seeds, black boys, here on your tiled floor. You are a seed that was put in soil.
Okay.
Ne? So we also need to be very cognizant of the environment in which we were raised. Because it's not, I could throw a seed on the grass just randomly and it can become a fucking powerful oak, right? Huge oak tree. We've seen with those Zuma, etc.
Sure.
But we also need to be cognizant of. So when we give this advice, so when we give this advice, we need to understand that there's black boy seeds that were thrown on the road, and their ability to become anything, because they were thrown on the road, is almost next to impossible.
I'm gonna give you answers that you can also shy on the side.
Yeah.
So the first thing is, man, to those guys.
Because now we talk about luck. Because now we have to incorporate luck. Because I look at myself. Sorry that I'm over talking.
Sure.
My journey had a lot to do with luck.
Yeah.
Because we said my mom is a result
And that's
of
what my mentor speaks about. That's
sure.
Jaya.
So my mom is a result of rape. Rape is bad. No one should rape.
Sure.
Oh, boy, if no one rapes, kushu mina ngikho mos.
I see what you're saying.
Rape mkhulu rape.
Yeah.
Yabo?
Yeah.
Sengkhona. As sad as it is, silver lining, but that's now luck. You already being emakaya, being light skinned, having curly hair, she managed to attract Entanga that's attracted to the lightest girl. Yabona, for whatever. That has a car. The only black guy who's also better because of the luck that she has of her pigmentation, her hair based off something bad.
Yeah.
Then moved from emakaya to a lokshin.
Sure.
So there's all those privileges and the luck that goes into play. But that's not when I create the rule book or when I create the structure, like the education system. I can't use it on when I throw the seeds on the road. I can't base it on that one seed that was blown by wind or a car tire went and it chipped and it went into the soil by accident. So I'm talking to the average black boy who's still stuck in that.
I think I've got a simple application.
Yet effective.
For things like that.
It was chilling in same below. Go to dead. How are you deadlifter?
I so wish it solves problems for me, but not for other people. but
and I wanted to talk about it because I know he goes very philosophical.
Nice.
He hits it in a level that's an episode for a different day.
But
in a way that many men don't understand.
Coming through, bro. Sure.
But I think the biggest thing, no matter where you are, what you are doing is looking at your own personal situation and finding purpose. And if you can define purpose for the day, leave, because some people can't define purpose for a year or a week or 10 years. We are fortunate where we can possibly define purpose for 20 years. There's someone who can't define purpose for the hour, but they can possibly define purpose for the 30 minutes. And I think depending on where you are mentally and what you have at disposal is to define purpose for where you are, how long that purpose can take you for, and then trying to redefine purpose again. And if you can do that, you will live a fulfilling life.
Yeah.
You'll probably become an alpha in your own setting.
Yeah.
Because ungabe impilo iyavuma manje, but you could lose umsebenzi yonke into tomorrow, which was what made you before, which then means ukuthi uphila manje day to day. So what defines purpose for today?
Do you remember when I argued this with Ulungel? Do you remember when I argued this with Penwell? Because I was saying, Guti,
I remember.
one of the privileges that we have that no one speaks about is our natural born cognitive abilities.
Yeah.
The same way that Shaq is born 2 meters tall, 150 kgs at age 20, that's his blessing.
Yeah.
The mere fact that you know how to find your purpose,
Yeah.
that's not a common thing. Thinking, being logical,
Yeah.
using your brain is not into that everyone is blessed with. Therefore, whenever we give these advices, we must always assume the worst. If they're great, then it's perfect because then they'll take it and they'll fly with it. But it's almost like we need to do paint by numbers.
Yeah.
Wuti, when you talk about reflecting or setting your daily goal,
Yeah.
what does that? Because I'll say to people, if it's a want to, and it's so abstract.
Yeah.
So then you say, Yazin, buyela la uqede khona matric, ukhulume no principal, umtshela ukuthi ngicela uku-upgrade principal wami ngenze njani.
Yeah.
Yabona, because for some people they don't see the layers and the levels and the distance that you can see. You know, so we must be very cognizant when you speak to your mentor, whether you speak to the camera, ukuthi, what does reflecting your day, your week, your month, what is success, so that in 25 who's still staying at home,
Yeah.
who's lost or just passing one matric in J and has no next step. My vuka ekuseni nje akazi uzoyenzani. Uzodlula umbhede, book TV,
Yeah.
fry upoloni, and back in that cycle.
Yeah.
What are we saying to that boy? Because it's that boy who's dealing with his own internal traumas. It's that boy who's depressed, and it's that boy who we are scared might end themselves. Because they're useless. They're feeling useless.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, I've got no purpose. All I am is a 25-year-old liability to my mom. Because even ngisho ufuna ukuyothenga idampi, emethenga ilose, facile uleti. Uleti ngicela airtime, 5 rand airtime. Every little thing has, so he sees himself as useless. And I'm asking you guys as fucking role models, Uguti, just as a wrap up,
Yeah.
what are we saying to those kids who
Stop
are
having kids.
no 25 is there now?
Asiqale ngaye naye angabi nengane
So
before ayakude.
yeah.
Yeah, angabi nengane.
Yabona already izinqa akayitholi. And my
No. Hey.
no guys, as I heard the stats, and I don't know I don't know how to
that's a
qualify
lie.
this.
That stat is a lie.
No, because let me tell you something.
We've got girls that are in grade 7 that are pregnant.
Yep. Who are they pregnant by?
grade 8.
Who are they pregnant by?
How much you eat?
Not the losers. I'm talking. Girls don't give losers ass, guys. No, they don't. Guys, that's where I was going. Guys, the lose. So I heard a stat. Listen, but hear me out. Just hear me out. So I heard a stat, and again, it's not qualified.
Yeah.
So it might be bullshit. But it says, Guti, the world was populated by less than 10% of the men that have ever existed. Ne? So when you unpack a stat, because you know the stat is, you're like, okay, then you try and ask yourself, Guti, let's just talk middle class. Let's forget about the losers. This is middle class. Middle class female with the middle class man. They drunk, they make a mistake, Guti bashai skoon. Ne? Mistake with bashai skoon. Because batagi it's exciting. Usisi, when her brain comes back tomorrow morning, she looks at this guy, her brain is now back. Middle class, and she says, this guy is not worthy. What does she do?
Keep it, yeah.
She goes, gets the morning
To the
after,
pill, yeah,
right? She has 12 weeks to get rid of the baby. So she's got a 12-week buffer.
Yeah.
You know, that's why whenever I see a middle-class female who is now heavily pregnant about it, I know that's not a mistake. As a middle class, you can afford a morning after. Because that one night, it could have been a drunken mistake. I get that. Shy school, okay, sure.
Life, yeah.
But you've had 12 weeks from morning after 72 hours to rest stops, whatever the case may be. You've had all this time. When I'm cheetah, you don't have anything. You make that mistake, it's done. So now, when I look at since I'm pregnant, I know that the majority of middle class females, when they fall pregnant, they looked at the guy and they said, "This guy is worthy." At least genetically or whatever the case may be. Yeah, well, sure. Loser guys. Middle class sister sleeps with a loser guy in a drunkard thing. He made her laugh. He made her feel good at that time. She was depressed. She was in a low. She was in whatever. When her brain comes back
in the morning,
2 days from then, what does she do?
They're
keeping on.
Sure.
Those loser guys that we think are having sex are not having sex. In America, they say 60% of men between the ages of 18 and 29 are not having sex. 80%. It's the same. It's the same 20% niggas. And we know niggas. Not to name and shame. It's the same niggas. It's the same niggas that are having kids with everyone. I'm talking about middle class and above now. I'm talking about middle class and above. It's the same niggas.
Yeah.
We're in a group together with 150 men. Yeah. Of those 150 men, you know that less than 20 of them have kids.
Yeah.
And that group is middle class and above.
Yeah.
Less than 20 of them have kids.
Definitely.
Oh, okay. So less than 20. How many of them have 2 or more kids? Now we're talking about 6 maybe.
Yeah.
You understand where I'm trying to get to?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm saying, Wuti, when those guys magically do get a chance to get bummage and magically get a chance to have raw bummage, ne? They don't know what they're doing. It's yabona those 25-year-old. Yabona mangahamba ngintwana it's lost. Ngumnika ngithi nansi tawo. Yazi wenza njani? Uzama ethenga ibhodlela Hennessy. Because his self-worth is so low that he wants to do something where take Hennessy, take a picture, post it on his Instagram to feel something. If it's 400 rand, it's saying it for that day. Because he doesn't know what. And when we speak to them, we need to say, because he doesn't know when he's going to get another 1,000.
Yeah.
And the first thing that he's trying to look at is his value. He feels useless. What can I do so that people don't look at me as useless and nothing? When your brain goes, yes, says, because the tower didn't have. Your brain thinks differently because you know that there's more towers coming somewhere down the line. So I look at it as taking a child and putting them in a candy store, knowing that they don't know. So I sit, and maybe it's my role, and I sit and I talk to so many boys, bro.
Yeah.
If I showed you my Instagram, I have more than 200 of those examples. Abang DMI, hey boy, Majita lost. So when I speak about trauma and depression and taking their lives, it's such a personal thing because that's all they send to me. Ngisekhaya ngihleli at my mom's house. Angina plan, boy. What's my next step? And for me to say, you know what, you need to zone in and he doesn't know what that looks like. It's like going to a person who's extremely obese and say, yeah, you just need to eat healthy, hey? Well, they know that. They just don't know how to get there. You said it earlier when we were talking about gym and what. Hey, you make it sound so simple. It sounds so easy. It's simple to us. If I asked you about business, boy, you'd speak for an hour and you'd break it down. But for a person who
you know, when you put it like that, and you have to give practical ways,
It's tough.
applicable ways. I don't find there's. He said I like going in deep on the gym and
Oh,
stuff.
you're going deep.
Yeah, we are going there.
I thought he was about to say, guys, thanks so much for the chat. I appreciate this. I need to go. Okay.
So if
You need to go to their homes. Let's wrap this shit up.
but like if you are sitting with no value, no purpose, it becomes a combination of things. You have experienced things that might not give you those things. Now you take working out, achieving a certain goal. So if I were sitting at home now, doing nothing, I think one of the things that I'd really, if I'm not in you don't have, but there's ways of
Koni push up, boy.
koni push up,
Koni sit up.
koni sit up,
Koni
kona
body-
ma squats,
koni body
kona
squat.
mgaqo.
Pull up, nigga.
What that does for you as an individual is that it firstly increases your endorphins. That means your thoughts
Yeah.
becomes more positive.
Dopamine hits, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
The spike. Yeah.
yeah. You also get a sense of achievement. If I was planning to run 2 kilometers today and I achieve that, automatically I've now achieved something that had I just sat in Gabugi TV today, I would have never achieved. So you start accumulating positive
Wins.
things, little wins,
Wins.
kancane, and eventually purpose finds you, because then there's people that look up to you because backbone
Ready, you know, yeah.
endlini uyokwenza something bayabona ukuthi you committed. It starts building izinto within you that will
And
lead you.
wins open wins.
Yeah, they open wins.
The nice thing,
Naturally so, yeah.
the nice thing that we do when we chat with the people around the gym thing. Let's say you've got nothing, did nothing. So whoever's watching this at home is got nothing. Guys, one win opens up another one.
Yeah.
And as men, my experience that we want to grow. Whether you want to grow academically, financially, whatever, you just want to grow. You know, so other people might talk about church, and learn that and grow in that. But once we shy push up, and namhlanje shy push up by 3, and in 3 months' time, so was 10, and in 6 months' time, so was 15.
Progress.
There's
growth.
Yeah.
You know, and you grow not just physically, mentally. There's a growth mindset. So let's say you put in again, namhlanje you only did it for 5 minutes because that's the best you could do. You know, 5 minutes is more than enough for a person who's starting. Push up by 3, by 3,
Yeah.
in 6 months' time, should you have that discipline that you're putting in, which is not easy. Not easy. But should that happen, that growth after 6 months, after a year, after 2 years, people see it. And people love winners. So now, usuyahamba, ugqoke ivest yakho, ne-chest yakho, people get attracted to winners because now you're radiating that. Next thing, the local gym says, as a personal trainer, uzosiza. Now you've got access to a gym, so what's that 50 Rand an hour, that now the more you put into that, using the same mindset of just growth, after a year or two, you know, all of a sudden you become something.
Yeah.
But
Can I share something with this?
Of course.
Gym thing, right?
yeah,
We know a guy.
Sorry to interrupt you in your talking.
guys, we need to wrap up.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
There was a
I need
guy, the guy that started as a petrol attendant is now a personal trainer. Okay, that's a dope story.
I'm just saying,
Okay, that guy did that.
adding to what Penson
There's a
is
guy
saying.
that did that. He was a personal trainer, worked at the garage. Well,
Guys,
was at the garage.
I've got a story that'll make you motherfuckers cry.
Okay, can I just say something before you make
Yeah.
us cry,
I'm
right?
Mfunu Kala boy.
Okay, then I'll say it rough.
The reason I am in the phase that I'm in now in terms of gymming, right?
Yeah.
Is because there was a point in life where I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I seem to have all of these tools that I was told I need to acquire. Like
But you seem
metric
stuck.
and all of that, but I seem stuck, or I seem
Yeah.
like I'm not getting to my goals
Yeah.
at the pace that I'm expecting. So what's the problem? Is
'Cause
it
you-
me that's the
Because
issue?
you're told at this stage you need to be,
So I'm like, is it me that's the issue, or is it the world somehow has things and obstacles that might be in my way that I'm not noticing? You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, what thing can I do that can give me, if I apply myself, there's nobody in between me and the thing, right? And I can measure the results very easily.
Because you push up, I think push up, I think you don't have to ask any permission for a push up.
And that thing for me was gym. So I started doing the thing, and what was weird is that after doing it, not even like I'm being Superman, just consistency. Okay, I'm gonna go there every day. Okay, I'm gonna try this one today. Okay, that one was whatever. After a certain time frame, people start talking to you different, and looking at you different. Like, wait, what? Why are you asking me? Oh, is there something happening with me? And then, so you're having this outer body
All of a sudden, you have now a position of authority.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're alpha.
And you suddenly have this.
So we're alpha.
So we're alpha.
Outer body experience where you're like, you still know who you are, but the world is treating you in a different way.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, maybe I need to act the way that they are saying I am. So it's like this weird feedback loop.
Yeah.
This weird feedback loop, but you have to start the thing. Whatever the thing is, though. So maybe it could be gym, maybe it could be, whatever.
But you have
Be
to.
consistent at it.
Yeah.
Make sure you're
something,
consistent at it.
Yeah.
And at some point, somebody will notice.
Yeah.
If you're doing a dope job, gotta do a dope job, bro. Don't do that shit.
No, but like,
luck doesn't find lazy people. But
the thing is that
so in a sense of luck won't find you if uhleli nje. So the thing that what we're speaking about now is the fact that Untanga has to start something. You guys are saying it's gym or something, anything. A gym for some people sounds very tough. Do something active for Zimbabwe.
yes,
Yeah,
100%.
or whatever. That's when now
a start.
That's when now the world sees you with, oh man, you're an anomaly in this village. And done. Oh, that's what you're saying.
Because you ask people, you're like, hey, how do you start podcasts? Like, touch your phone.
Yes.
But people
Yo.
don't. But people, because they'll ask people, what equipment must I get? What's the mic?
Pumada.
But abazi do tebs.
But that's even the gym abazi though.
Yes, and it is so they'll say, what must I do at gym? And I'm like, Shaya, push up a kitchen.
Okay, sure.
So that's what I'm trying to say, Guti. For that guy who's 25 at home, he's so stuck.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes you'll say something, Guti, hey, start this. Why not call it level? It becomes to something that to us is an anthill. For him it's Mount Everest. So then he gets stuck in that where he is versus where he thinks he should be. And that is such a huge thing. Let me just to wrap up my side before you guys just conclude. So I'm teaching and I meet this one dad. He comes in, you know, and he's telling me about his boy and we're having a conversation. It's great. And I'm like, hey, because now you're paying these school fees. Because a private school, you're paying 15,000 rand. He says he's got 3 kids at this private school. He's paying 35,000 for them. He's got kids at, he's got 5 wives or whatever, 4 wives. And each wife has chosen different private schools to send their kids. And I'm like, damn. So when his school fees in Jesse Soda, like 200,000. I was like, I'm privileged. And he's like, hey, he's speaking the purest Zulu I've ever heard.
Sure.
I'm like, so where you from? And he's like, no, he's from, I think he said like it's Zanini or Musina or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, but Zulu Sako sounds KZN.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's never been like that. So he said he grew up in Limpopo. His mom then got HIV before anyone knew what HIV was.
Yes.
No one knew. So what then happened was then their family was exiled from the rest of the family.
Standard.
So it was him, it was his older brother, and it was his mom. That's all they had. And and there's nothing to happen. So because of that situation, his brother then had to go to Joburg to work, to send money. Uti Ntwana, at that time, he's like 9, 10. Putwake is in Joburg. Putwake works at a petrol station. Petrol attendant, a little bit of money, sends it back home. So then he started learning to look after his mom. His mom got worse and worse and worse. He's like 10, bro. So he's like, because naga old lady. One room, even old lady. And he's like, you can just imagine at that age, old lady yakula ngikeza uma wami. Uma wami ye toilet. Ngisiza uma wami ye toilet. Uti, those things shape a certain narrative. Uti, by age 12, he's now out of school as a 10-year-old, but now he's age 12 mark was Shwan. Now he's alone. Akho auntie, akho malume, akho next. And then as a result, uthi okay, no, come through. He comes now to Joburg as a 12-year-old. Akana scale, akana next. Ubhuti wakhe naye usebenza as a petrol attendant. Ne? Ubhuti wakhe then says, no, uzohlala nami la. You know. Ubhuti wakhe doesn't have the mindset of saying, fast ikutholele scale. Ubhuti wakhe then says, ngizokukhulumela nalo mlungu wami la egarage. Ukuthi ushanyele uclean and do those things. Intwana ina 12. Clean garage. Again, now we're talking about early 90s. Yabona. Clean now, wash my window, all these things. The owner of a garage, Ipunu, mother gets sick. The mother gets sick, right? In whatever conversations that the older brother is having with this, ne? Ipunu says, Umawake is stubborn, doesn't want to go to a home and get a nurse, or the mom is so racist, these nurses don't want to be with her, whatever.
Yeah.
Iti le khotmani.
Intwana
Yam. Yabo. Iyakwazi ukumnakekela lo magogo lo. Iyakwazi ukumnakekela lo magogo lo. Ne?
Crazy.
Uthi I'm 12 ngigeza ibhunu elino 80 90 eli racist elikuthiwa ngeAfrikaans alikhulumi nothing. So ufunda iAfrikaans ngenkani ubuthukwa lelibhunu leli. Ngenkani. Ne?
Jeez.
Ugeza ugogo womlungu is looking after umlungu ubhuti wakhe ne washona ubhuti wakhe.
The one that brought him in a Jaws.
The one that brought him in a Jaws. Nabhuti wakhe is young as well, mos.
Sure.
Washona lo. Ibhunu that owned the garage said no, uzohlalela kuma back room. Geza ugogo na washona. Washona ugogo, makushona ugogo, leli bhunu says fuck it, dicey garage. What dicey garage? Lil Bunu goes and buys a Pick and Pay. My thing a Pick and Pay, ithatha lentwana lil Bunu leli. And says when uzosebenza kuma delivery, ucosha ama lettuce namakhabishi nani. Makufika ama delivery, ngithi uyacleana mos.
Yeah.
Ma delivery of ama fruit nama veg asukapi. Asuka Limpopo what.
Yeah.
Lentwana incane I communicator nalama time lawo. Sitsonga, vendor, wasn't Afrikaans. I manager of I delivery, ibhunu. Ne? So ibona lentwana icleanayo ikhuluma nama truck drivers that are coming with ama fruits what.
Sure.
Yeah.
Avela le bhunu woza la wena ntwana. Woza la. Ngifuna ukuthi ucommunicate yonke into abayishoyo ngifuna ungitshele ukuthi bathini. So ibhunu leli eli manager in the back likhuluma nanentwana ngeAfrikaans.
Yeah.
NgeAfrikaans lentwana ikhuluma isitsonga ibuyikhuluma isivenda thula majita lawo. Communicate.
Wow.
Uthi I'm watching leli bhunu uphethe ithukhwaye. Uyabhala. Uthi lapho sengigijima ko 14 15 16 ngihleli this guy I'm watching what he's doing. Ubhala ukuthi ukhwaya uyangikhuluma nami Afrikaans uthi nje ukhuluma nami nje Afrikaans khona abantu la kuma back la ama drivers bengezwa mina ngikhuluma nalaba ngiyamediate ngiyakhula angisaclean anymore umsebenzi wami is just to manage the black staff yabona in that space ne ibhunu leli laba I manager at the Pick and Pay, that exact Pick and Pay that was owned by the owner. Selithi Bunu, he's going to be the manager of the delivery section. Look, because I can trust him.
Yes.
Because he's been here for the past 3 years. Uthi now I'm a manager at a Pick and Pay in the delivery section. Uthi Mlotshwa, angikwazi ukubhala, angikwazi ini. But ima ngihamba, uyazi ngiphathani, ngiphatha ithukhwaye. Ngizenza sengathi ngiyabhala something. Ngoba ngibona yeah. Mangifika ngikhuluma nawe hey ngikhuluma uthi because now I'm in Joburg I'm learning Spade, Tswana, yabona. I'm learning isiZulu. I'm learning the languages. I'm speaking to native Zulu people that are coming in from KZN.
Yeah.
Baphethe banana. I'm learning all these languages with people and then I have to go back to the store manager.
Yeah.
Bafika or Cyril, bafika or Tokyo boma 97. Ne? Sekufuna ini black empowerment. Uthi now I've got managerial experience, 18. So the first thing they do now, they fast tracking me. uthi bavele nje babona nje umuntu omnyama athi woza la iba manager kule Pick and Pay uthi okay uthi ngiwala emhlabeni now I'm a manager at this Pick and Pay Ackerman usufuna ukuvula yini lento le when what's it called when you take your shares into the public
IPO.
IPO
Yeah.
but now it's
Go
BE,
public, yeah.
now they're going public but now they need BE partners
Standard, yeah.
Yabo? So now there's that 3-year course that they need to do with the five with that how much was a Pick and Pay? It was 5 million, whatever the case is. But now this black economic empowerment. Uthi mina ngangu number 1. Ngithathwa ngifakwa lapha. Sekuthiwa nansi franchise boy yakho. Uthi angina mama, angina baba, angina
Nation schools, exactly. Copy paste.
That's the dope story, bro.
Stop. You speak to him uthi yabona nje ungikhuluma nawe manje uyawabala uthi mina mhlawumbe ngama Pick and Pay ma 10 nginalokhu I've got 5 wives uthi he's got like 20 kids uthi I've surrounded myself I've created family because I've got nothing that I look back to so I've got my whole family I've got a wife I've got all my wives don't work each wife lives in a different suburb of Joburg and the kids there and this kid there and this kid there uthi yey labo mina bese ngihlela nje inyembezi zisi
Yes.
inyembezi ziyazehlela uthi yabona Mlotshwa mfethu ukhuluma nami kanje uthi yabona Mlotshwa kambuka umuntu utshela ukuthi usuka la wena utshela ukuthi usuka khona njengoba ungibona la ngikhona nami ngasuka ebunzimeni and you're sitting there and you're like these are the stories that 25-year-old that 18-year-old that black boy who is stuck needs to hear because those are not the stories that are being pushed out there.
Definitely.
You know, Otebza need to be creating shows like that speak to that so that the kids can see, fuck, it's possible. There's real life motherfuckers
They exist.
that had to literally wipe their mother off to the bottom. Ugezuma wake ngun ena 10 ugezuma wako. Usuna 13 ugezi ibhunu elikuthuka elikubiza ngamagama ngazonke and now look at where you are having all of this shit and it is possible awuna skele awukwazi ukubhala but mawubhala ama test it's vocal umuntu mayakubuza uyamphendula yakubuza umuntu uyamphendula
God damn.
those are the stories that we need to put out so black boy it's possible wherever you are it's possible machita don't lose ithemba
Definitely.
start where you are kancane. It might take longer than what is expected. People might put that pressure and they might think that you need to do this and this and this and this. When among a 3 push-ups a day, Ronnie Coleman, wherever you need to be, but you can't not do anything. You need to move. Anyway, that's my last line. Closing words, Chance.
Who's gonna follow that up?
I don't have that type of story.
Yeah, I think I actually think that was a solid summary.
Yeah.
I think it wraps up everything.
Yeah, it
because, ngendlela oyibeka ngayo, it was literally doing what you needed to do for the day, for the hour, for the week.
Whether you're washing windows,
Yeah, but like
whether you are
it's
sweeping the floor.
accumulative.
Yeah.
It's literally accumulative. It's exponential. You do what you need to do for the hour, for the minute,
Hey.
for the hour.
Put yourself out
From
there.
the second.
from the second.
put yourself out there.
building it up, and you are everything that you do. I know it from experience. Everything that you do from wherever you are makes an impact on someone. And if you take things lightly, you could be going for a jog, you could be washizitsha endlini ngendlela right. It builds up to something.
Yeah.
But as soon as you don't respect what you are doing, when that thing that you are doing at that particular time is purpose, you're just taking away from yourself.
That's true.
You want me to say something?
Yeah, we're closing. We're closing.
Okay.
We're closing, Debs.
2 things. Shit.
I like your jacket. I like your cap. I wish I was like Mlotshwa.
I'm the only nigga you'll find that has the surname on them. You can walk around the whole year, you won't find a nigga like me.
Yeah, she
Ash alpha male. Vele ash alpha male. Uthi sengiba deep alpha male nje deep kuphi? Ikwamla. Nina nizwa ngami.
Two things. I want to narrate a story about Will Smith, speaking about what you're saying. You know, Itamalaga Will Smith, Will Smith had a brother. I don't know in the book what they were trying to do. So Itamalaga Baka some ice back in the day. And I think they were building the ice shop. So the dad said to the brothers, Will Smith and his brothers, like, look, I need you guys to build this room where we can store all these things, my ice and my fridge. And he said to them, just lay one brick. So when you think of it, just take the brick, cement, and lay it. Don't think of the whole house.
Yes.
Don't. Because you're going to give up. So when per brick is your achievement. And it's exactly what you're saying, you know. Second,
Lay the perfect brick.
Every time. Just the brick. He said to them, don't think of the whole thing. Because you won't finish it.
Shanjile
Yeah.
push up.
You push up one. It's that 1 second, you know. Because that 1 second propels you. For me now, it's there just to punctuate your what you guys are saying about the push up and the second and the minute, the hour, the day and whatnot. Because that's what the kid did with the story that you're saying, you know. Just taking over your lady every single second. You know. But for me, I think the guys that have made it, I think they have a huge responsibility. Can you take 2 or 3 of these guys and take them under you and do these things? Because everything will boil back to what you're saying, Woody. If in fact I'm not motivated, already I won't do the push-up. Bro.
I'm broken, though.
Young tall. So I think the guys who have made it, I think it's all of our responsibility. If we truly believe that we need to mentor the younger people, or the guys that just don't think that they can make it in life, I think it has to become our responsibility. Take 2 or 3 from your hood. Like, Ntwana, this is what I think will make you get out of this thing. Follow me. I sense this so every single time.
Yeah.
And I think for me it's that. We need to get the guys that have made it to fully commit to making sure that they mentor 1 or 2 people, you know. I've done that through the industry and just in my personal life to say, amen. You have some privileges from Mudimu, Badimu. We don't know as well, you know. And it's our responsibility, because I believe that every human being's purpose is to express their given talent to humanity. That's all of us. I think that's why we exist, is to express this thing that comes from above to humanity. And I think what's killing Amachit is that they can't express that thing. I can't. So I think those who have gotten that thing need to take those kids and say, "Oh, Tandan, boy, let me help you achieve this thing."
Yeah.
No, man. On that note, that's beautiful. Gents, Pigo, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much, Tebza. Thank you so much, Khumutso. Thank you so much, Sizwe. Yeah, we were cooking. Sharp now.
God damn.
Let's try it, guys.
That was nice.
That's hard.
That was nice, man.